Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where this week I am tired because we've put out more than one show this week for you, but I'm excited because we have a great guest and some good topics to discuss. So before we get there, though, let me do some quick housekeeping notes at the top. I want to thank everybody for being here. Oh, I already see people jumping in. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, I'll get to the super chats and the other things in a moment, but I see, of course, as usual, we have Mr. Joanna Dark in here, bright and early as always. Welcome, sir. Appreciate you. Tim the Sorcerer, all these folks are already in here, so thank you guys so much for being here. I will say thank you for the continued support. I see our numbers are climbing like pretty well, astronomically, actually, in fact, on our audio podcast. So thank you guys so much for checking it out there. We try to keep it PG so that people can listen in their car with the loved ones and whatnot. Not too much slander. We keep our slander PG-13 here. So thank you guys for your continued support. Let's see here. Yes, I see a bunch more folks have joined our channel. I will let you guys all know that on this channel we try to work with the community. We're very community focused. So we have super chats, which are greatly appreciated. But you never have to do that. You know, if you have any questions, anything you want to bring up, you can basically just bring our attention to it, and we will address it in the show. And we appreciate the community of it all. But ladies and gentlemen,
one second real quick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You definitely do not have to super chat, but what you do need to do is hit the like button.
Yes, sir. Yes. Please do that. Please do that. We do appreciate that. That helps the algorithms. That helps the AI overlords. We do appreciate you. And on the note of the super chats, actually, before I even bring my guest and my co-host on, we should let you know that thanks to all of that support that we've gotten so far, you're going to start seeing an overhaul of this channel. We finally got the man who's behind the scenes, who makes everyone look amazing. Mr. Sean Labrie is working with us to really overhaul our channel, you know, from social media to even on the show itself. You guys have been asking for some you know, some hot takes, some tinfoil hat theory segments and all of that. All that stuff is coming. We're looking into that in the background. So thank you guys for your continued support. All the super chats helps us in that direction. But let us get started proper. You heard his voice before I introduced him. He is not a guest here. He is my co-host, the slanderous one, Mr. EverbornSaga. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Well, I think we should really call attention to the fact that you were late today, sir.
Was I late?
Every week.
I was not late.
I'm late every week.
At 10 o'clock, I was here.
We got to hear about me being late. So
usually you're late on the show.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. I was here first.
See, and we do this just to prime our guests for what's to come.
And I forgot what the second thing was. So I'm doing great. How's everybody doing? How's the chat? How is Daniel McGee? How are you doing, sir?
So far, we're absolutely fantastic. But let me introduce Mr. Daniel McGee. I consider him now the best main in the business because, let's be honest, you know, Mr. Grubb just cut all his off. So now he's been superseded. He's like Samson. He lost his powers. Indeed. So we appreciate that he's able to take some time out to join us. The man with some of the hottest takes. I every time this man is on a show, I am like spitting out my coffee. I can't focus on work. He is hilarious, and he always brings factual information to the hilarity. Mr. Daniel McGee, thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. It honestly feels pretty comfortable here because I've already been on shows with both of you guys, and I'm looking at the chat and I'm seeing a lot of familiar names, so I'm cozy.
Absolutely. And for the few who may not know what you do in this environment and may not have seen you, because, you know, you're the Daily Show, you're on the Daily Shows, and some folks may not be able to catch that sometimes. Let folks know right off the top, you know, where they can catch up with more of the stuff that you do on the internet.
Yeah, so the most obvious place would be my YouTube channel, which is just Daniel McG. That's Daniel MCG. Although people in the chat probably also know me from the Xbox Factor podcast over at Double Barrel Gaming. And pretty soon, hopefully, me and Shy Town's golden voice,
oh boy,
Infinite Umbra, are gonna be starting.
You mean Unreal Shill, Infinite Umbra?
Unreal Shill, Umbra, Infinite Unreal,
Infinite Unreal. That's right. Yes, great.
A podcast called The Fix, where we're just gonna be talking about all the pop culture news, probably primarily video games, but just basically anything of interest that comes across the table.
Absolutely, that's great, man. When the time draws near and your show starts in earnest, please let us know. We'll promote it for you. We'll have you guys back on. You know, we love you guys in this community. It's always great. Oh yeah, I look forward to it. So, all right, folks. So I see some folks in here already. Oh, the Xbox expansion pass. Mr. Insipid Ghost himself is here this morning. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here. I always feel honored whenever he's on the show, because that man is the man who gets more interviews than anybody I've ever heard, I've ever seen on anything. Every time any great any great game, indie or otherwise, jumps on my radar, I happen to be catching his show in the morning, and he's interviewing the director or interviewing one of the devs. I'm like, bro, you just know how to pick it out of my brain and put it on the podcast every time. So if you're not checking out the expansion pass, you definitely should be. The man knows how to bring the great content every week. So okay, so before we start properly, let me get the first super chat of the day. Thank you so much. And that is, of course, by Dave Ramos, great friend of this community. He says that Saturday morning Diablo energy. Happy Saturday. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being here. And we will talk a bit about that Diablo, because people seem to be really enjoying that stuff. I'll be honest, I haven't gotten my hands on it quite yet, because there are other games that are like kind of stealing my soul right now. And on that tip, let us start in earnest with the games that we have been playing. Now, Daniel, you are our guest, so please, you are first dibs on the games you've been playing this week. What's been keeping you busy, sir?
Well, so it's really only been three things. I've been dropping in on the new season of Fortnite.
Okay.
Because I have a condition. And as
build or no build?
Usually build, although
Ooh,
sometimes
wow.
I get a little tired of it, and I'll go on no build and just clean up, because it's a lot easier. But build is honestly sometimes a little bit better of a server, because people, I think it populates a little bit faster, and then also you'll have people who just really don't know what they're doing, so you can just take the advantage of it, because they'll just like build a structure really high, but they'll build it on one little chunk of wood, and you can knock it out and get a kill pretty easy. But yeah, I've been dropping in on that. It's been pretty cool. It's always fun to see what the new like crossover skins are going to be this season. It's Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, which is not my favorite anime, but a very popular one.
Yeah, it's very good. I like that. Yeah.
What is your favorite anime?
Probably One Piece. I don't know if you can tell, but I got some One Piece guys back here.
Now, is this because you've seen every episode? Because that's a commitment, baby. Woo!
I've seen pretty much every episode. Usually, what I'll do is I'll wait like 4 or 5 episodes in between so that I can watch them all at the same time, because One Piece has this really bad habit of having like half the show be either recap or intro and outro and like all that stuff. So you only get like 7 minutes of actual
show. Yeah, it's like Dragon Ball Z in that way.
A little bit, yeah. Yes. It's rough, but once you get about 1,000 episodes in, you get used to it.
1,000, yes sir, 1,000 episodes. That's like dreadlock building, man. That's commitment, baby.
It's rough. Right. It's rough in these streets.
Okay.
But so yeah, did the Fortnite, just beat Plague Tale Requiem.
Oh, nice.
Which is fantastic. I feel like when that game came out, I know people were talking it up, but I feel like they weren't talking it up enough, because that game is amazing. It's beautiful. The story is great. I remember having some people say that it had performance issues. I guess that must have gotten patched at some point, because I didn't run into anything. It's just an absolutely amazing experience. Did you guys jump in on that?
Oh, absolutely. And listen, I don't know if it was the timing of when it came out, because it had come out so close to other, kind of big zeitgeist games. Yeah. But like, everything you're saying is correct right there. And especially that ending, which like, I feel like she should have did that at the beginning, because
I was kind of thinking that.
No,
But,
no spoilers, ladies and gentlemen. No spoilers.
But she had. You know what? Let me not. So we'll talk about. This
we'll talk about
no.
But,
it's not quite past the point yet.
I think Amicia is stronger than Kratos. We'll just put it that way.
She's definitely emotionally stronger.
Oh,
no question.
Listen, we can have that debate. Maybe
don't do it. Just don't. Not right now. You're gonna get pitchforks after you. Come on now.
If you really like look at the events of the game and how they kind of like leveled it up from the first one, I still say though. Do we consider this AAA or just like 2.5A?
Man, that's tough.
I mean, can we be technical about it? AAA is the funding level, right? Yeah, but I know you mean it in the how people perceive it as far as a high level premium product.
Right. Well, I'm talking about like production value because it is technically just astounding, right? Like if you look at some of the draw distances in the game, especially when you get to the end and you're in that last town and then you're looking out over the field and the shadow of the clouds are kind of waving over the grass field, like it's amazing. But to me, the animations were leveled up, but it's still
a little clunky.
Yeah, right. And there's still these times where you get into these canned animations, and they gave you ways, thankfully this time, to get out of things to kind of counter. But I still would love if the next iteration of it's like actual full like combat, right?
Yeah, I mean that would definitely be interesting. I think that the game I think that the stealth element of it is really important to sort of the identity of that game. So as long as the stealth is still an option for me to play with, then I'm 100% down with her just pulling out a battle axe in the third one.
Well, so here's the thing though, right? Like if we look at her journey, right, in the original, what was she, 14, 16, whatever?
Yeah, very young.
Right, so she had lived a pampered life, and then she was kind of thrown into this harsh world with her brother, and then
where all she could do is use a rock to hit right in that corner where your armor just like shatters away. While she was living that pampered life, she was being taught to be like an expert marksman with a rock.
Right, and the second one explores the hardening
of her
through that experience, and kind of like what that did to her mentally, and it kind of almost turned her into a killer. So I could see the third one being
murking fools left and right.
Right, I could see the third one being her being less scared. She is like
kind of the Tomb Raiderification of her, like getting harder.
No, because that happened in like one scene.
I know.
Just kill and now
you're like, oh my god, and then 15 minutes later, bloodlust everywhere. Rambo. Like, what's going on?
But like, I could see Amicia after going through what she went through in the first one, leveled up in the next one, and how that one ended. If she's just straight up warrior princess status, I don't think that's a reach. I don't think that's a Mary Sue. I think she's gone through the gauntlet, and you could see her not being afraid and being less stealthy.
Speaking of that, why do we not have a warrior princess video game? Like, damn, that would be really cool. I'm sorry.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but it just reminded me. We have lost like an era where you could, like, today you could have a Xena warrior princess video game, and it would be actually pretty damn good. But anyway, continue. It'd be like female Kratos. It'd be awesome.
Melee, knife, and sword work.
You know, it'd be epic. But is that all you've been playing with that, Daniel?
Really, the only other thing is I started. I mean, it's a game I've played 100 times, just not in this format. But the Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, jumped in on that. The original version of that game is something I basically grew up on. More so Age of Mythology, but Age of Empires 2 is in there. And I really love having a new way to play it. I think that's great.
How's that controller integration?
You know, honestly, pretty good. The controller integration, I think, works pretty well. There's a little... They do some workarounds to make it feel better, like having the ability to like automatically assign your villagers, so you don't have to worry about like the the micromanaging on that level makes it a lot better. And then just being able to quick select, like, I want all my cavalry units, or I want all my archers. Like, that's been really helpful. I will say they haven't done a whole lot to bring Age of Empires to like the modern era, because there's definitely some like, okay, this is the part of the game where we look at Twitter for 20 minutes while we build up resources. And I really wish that wasn't there, because I've been just going through the campaign, and sometimes these missions will be like an hour and a half long, and it's like, I don't know if I need all this right now.
Yeah. Okay. So they spent a lot of time more on the controllers than actually modernizing the gameplay elements.
Yeah, they stayed really faithful to the game. They just made it
too faithful,
like more playable. Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe when Age of Empires 4 hits consoles, what is that? Is that April?
I think it's April. I think it's April or May. Yeah. Very soon.
Thinking that one will probably be a little bit better. I'm holding out for. They already announced that they're doing the definitive for Age of Mythology, which was my life as a child. So hopefully they get that working well, and I hope that they leave the. There was like a map creator that you could do, an editor for Age of Mythology, and that was just so good. It was basically like the proto Forge mode. And
nice. Okay.
So,
I have downloaded that on the Series S, but I have not played it yet because I'm on a mission to kill one of these games off the backlog, and it's been a long slog. Not a slog in a bad way. It's just I can't stop playing, and of course it is Hogwarts. I think I'm 60-70 hours in, and I'm still doing that. But yes, okay. Mr. EverbornSaga, I know you have been on the train of the GOAT platformer. How far have you gotten in that direction? Where are we? Are you done with Ori? Where are we at?
I have completed both games, start to finish.
Nice.
Ori and the Blind.
Now tell me how amazing that game is, and how much of a ridiculous human you are for waiting for so long.
Well, I'm actually not mad at myself for waiting for so long. You know, Ori and the Will of the Wisps had some technical issues.
Okay.
In the week that it launched, and that's why some of the Metacritic suffer. But they quickly fixed those things. Not saying I couldn't have played it in 2020 or 2021, but that the games are both in their own right masterpieces, right? Yes, but never play it backwards. Play the first one first. Well, so okay, I do. So let me talk about that too, right? Because I just said, all right, when Blind Forest came out, I played it for a little bit and then I put it down, and then I didn't get to Will of the Wisps, and so I started Will of the Wisps.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I got like 12% into it, and you were like, "Did you beat the first one?" And I was like, "Why you gotta bring that up, Kate? Why you put my business in the streets?" So I'm like, "All right, he's right." Unfortunately, as much as I hate to admit it, let me go back and play the first one.
I need to clip that one real quick. Ooh,
yeah, not because I need to know what's going on, although it does help to know what's going on because everything's connected.
It does, yeah, it's connected. Yep.
So I went back and played the first one. And the first one, more so than Will of the Wisps, there's so much to that game, and you've played Ariel's Adventure.
I have,
and you know like all of the different like platforming elements that are there, and they're there. Like a lot of it is similar, just done so much better and so with so much more polish in Ori, but it was just such an inspiration to see that Ariel's Adventure is using a lot of the same tool sets, had some of the same thinking, and to see like how far something like that could go. And again, I know Ori is millions of dollars in budget and 80 developers and a crazy orchestral score and composer stuff and like that. But even if we take out all of the beauty
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but let me just let it be absolutely clear, because he won't say it, but I will. Even with all that done, they're doing the same thing you're doing on a shoestring budget. That is kudos to you, good sir. And people will see that game. When you guys see that game, you will be impressed, because yes, he's absolutely right. they're sharing basically the same structure, the same elements. It just so happens that they have a big budget behind it, so everything is just absolutely blown out to its height. But at the core of it, it's the same game. It really is. So please continue, sir.
Yeah, so what I like to call Ariel's Adventure is not a Metroidvania, but a Mariovania, because we actually have levels that you unlock power-ups to get to different parts inside individual levels. And it's like if you take the upper route in the level, it's going to be more difficult. If you take the middle route, that's the easiest, and then you can go the lower route. It'll be kind of middle of the road, but you can get things like a triple jump. You can get things like you have the kind of the dash effect. You can get something that will allow you to attack in the water, which you can't do at first. And so all those things that they're doing, I'm like, wow. Even some of the same, like I would imagine that they're using Fur 2D, which is what we use for our terrains in that game. And so it was just fascinating to play that, and it just gave me so much sort of inspiration to see what we're working on could be. Now
Mr. Joy in the Dark needs to remind you that Ori is better than Sonic, but yes, continue.
Of course he does. Now Will of the Wisp, on the other hand, that is just next level, like good, because it takes everything. So when I'm making my comparison, I'm making it to Blind Forest, and if anyone in the chat, and a few of you have played Ariel's Adventure, even if you played it back on the Windows Phone. But if you haven't played it on the Windows Phone, there is one coming out, right? But
on the Windows Phone? Just kidding. Go ahead.
No, well, but the point I'm making is Will of the Wisps is a different argument, like altogether. I genuinely think it is one of the greatest games of the age
ever made. Yes,
for sure.
Yes,
right. Blind Forest is great, but Will of the Wisp is a masterpiece. Like just the way the combat, or I guess combat and platforming, just flows together to the point where you're always doing something in it. You're always in control. It feels so good. I love that game.
Right, and even further, if we think about the way they introduce the new abilities that you get and how the levels are designed around teaching you without giving you a tutorial,
without any words, without any actual words, yes.
And even if we talk about like Live Supremacy said he got it. You got Ariel's World, my man. So if we want to talk about like the score of that game, if we want to talk about presentation, if we want to talk about emotional resonance, if we want to talk about like just core gameplay and just sort of stunning beauty, it is up there with any of the biggest games that we talked about last year. Just because I get it, it's a 2D platformer, sure, but put that on an OLED screen and pause it anywhere. You could just frame that thing. It is like, chef's kiss, the most beautiful looking thing I've ever seen on any game. Like, it's just astronomically beautiful. And you have never and will never probably see another 2D platformer that has the AAA treatment like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir. We need them to do that to Sonic. 2D Sonic. That's what we need them to do.
Man,
what do you say?
Go ahead, Daniel.
No, between that and Hollow Knight, which I played pretty.
Oh, another one. Close second. Yes.
It was like, because before I played those games, I really didn't think I was into not Castlevania, but like Metroidvania style games or anything like that. And I was like, no, actually, these are two of my favorite games ever.
Ever.
All of a sudden.
Yes. So. I still play Hollow Knight. Like, Silk Song is my most anticipated game in like years. Because if you've played through the first Hollow Knight all the way through, you know what you're in for. It is brilliant. Just so good. Absolutely.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I started Hollow Knight.
Yeah?
Right, because I was on my Ori fix, right?
I'm sir.
I need more of this. And so, and I'm saying all this to say, even the ending for Will, it was a gut punch.
Oh yeah, tear jerker, the whole thing,
right?
Yep.
And so the idea that a 2D platformer, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, it's just that people don't consider it they don't mention it in the same conversations with the, the other things
with the
that
big
we know
dogs,
from
as it
Next
were.
Generation,
Yep.
the big things. And
Yep.
I feel like it really should.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was in the conversation for Game of the Year in the year it came out.
I
But
don't
it
remember.
absolutely.
Let me look that up real quick. Let me look that up.
So
yeah,
like, again, all the hallmarks that we look at for AAA narrative-driven games, but still like so keenly focused on gameplay. Like at every element, gameplay, production value, story, graphics, you name it, it is top class and genre defining. So
listen to Britt in the chat, and welcome, Britt. We appreciate you being here. They ask, so any thoughts to the rumors that there's another Ori game being developed, but not by Moon Studios? I hadn't heard that.
So I heard that. I don't.
If that's
know.
the case, I'd be happy because I just want more in that world.
But,
you have big shoes to fill, though. Like really big shoes to fill.
Like a completely different genre of game for it to feel good to me, I think. Also, I think it'd be kind of weird because I mean, I know most people associate that game with Microsoft. I don't think they own that IP. I think Moon.
No, they own the publishing. Microsoft owns the publishing for it. Yeah, so it might be one of those weird contractual situations where they allow it, but then they get a cut of it or something. Who knows? But like, long story short, as long as you can fill those really big Shaquille O'Neal size shoes, I'm there for it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, what I really want, and it doesn't have to be Ori. What I really want is just more kind of big budget, like games like
2Ds.
This is why I'm so excited for Moon Studios' next game, which they say that was their take on the 2D platformer.
Yep.
And their next game is going to be the take on the Zelda style
Zelda,
RPG.
Yep.
So I'm so inspired by what they do at Moon because R Squared Entertainment, right? That's the company that is my comic books and games are under. The whole idea of the studio that I'm trying to put together is my take on these old games. This is why the Redlands, I mean, it's also connected to the comics, but the Redlands is going to be my take on the 2D platformer. Ariel's Adventure is my take on the Mario Sonic thing. And then we have a turn-based RPG and things like that. So they are who I look up to when I do these things, and I didn't even know that. This is why I'm kind of I'll take the L.
And in addition to
my knees, I should experience this sooner.
In addition to the way that the content that they're putting out, also the way their studio is set up is also very unique. Right, they were the only studio that was not. They were nonplussed by COVID because they were already everywhere they needed to be. They all work from home from day one.
Again,
very unique.
Exactly what we're doing.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I have my animator is now in Turkey. My artists are in the Philippines. I'm here doing all the coding, and so again, I look at what they're doing, and it says to me that that I'm not doing all this.
You're on the right track. Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Another thing that I want to point out, because I don't know if I said this last week, and maybe I did, but let me say it again just while we're on this topic. I did. Well, okay, yes, we did talk about it last week, but Dot Moto or
the ones who completely slandered you for not finishing their game. Yes, continue, sir.
Yes. So they are my favorite publishers.
What they do, yes,
in terms of bringing games back.
I need to see Double Dragons from them. I need to see Double Dragons from them. I need to see all the Final Fight. Give me something. I need to see something from them. Yes, absolutely. You're right.
And just so if you're not familiar with them, these are the people behind the
TMNT.
Wonder Boy Dragon's Trap remake, and then they did Streets of Rage 4, and then they did the
Shredder's Revenge. Yep.
Streets of Rage 4 is so good.
So they bend over and they poop out gold.
Listen to this
every
man.
time. It's you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Every time they do not miss.
They don't miss.
And
yes.
So that idea of like, I understand we're in the 3D era,
Mhm.
and you know, Sony and Meta are trying to make VR a thing or whatever,
Mhm.
but I don't feel like that genre of game should be left to the annals of history and indie games,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so all those things in that era of the beat 'em up, the platform, the 2D platform specifically,
Mhm.
like I I love that there are still people devoting
Yep.
big dollars and big teams to those things, and I want more
Yep.
of that, because it should not be gone. It's a legitimate genre of
Yeah.
game that I think is just as challenging as any of
And
the
to that point, shout out to Microsoft. Like they have been like alone, seemingly keeping the strategy genre alive, bringing it to console.
Yeah.
While most are forgetting about it, the closest you get is XCOM these days. But they're still
Yeah.
out there, really, doing your double and AAA like strategy games in this space. So yeah, I always think
it's
it's commendable.
Microsoft, it's Relic, and it's Creative Assembly.
Yes,
The
and
only
usually they
three.
all work together more often than not. Yeah, it's very very
And
interesting.
They're the last two guys
and
left.
Yeah.
right, it's the strategy cartel.
Yes.
But
Speaking of God, who was it that did? Have you heard of Empire of Sin? It's
Yes.
It's like it's an XCOM like, but it takes place during like Prohibition era.
Yep.
I want to say
Yep.
Chicago, maybe New York.
Yeah, I think I played a few hours of that game. It was on on Game Pass a couple months ago. It's really good.
But it has so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big strategy game fan,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I will always be here to defend
Let
those
me
games.
let me stop for just a moment and thank some of the folks, because I see some super chats have jumped in here, and of course we need to stop it and thank them so much. The man Gerald Mackin here, always represent. We appreciate you. He says, shout out to the Gaming Circle podcast and the esteemed guest. Sorry I'm late I was watching Destin Legary's David Jaffe interview. Shout out to the awesome chat. Great to see everyone. Thank you so much for being here, sir. And yes, that is a great interview.
Oh, the OG of this podcast.
Yes, sir.
Been here since day one.
Absolutely. And we have Tim the Sorcerer with the €2 super chat, €2 super chat, forgive me. He says, nice to catch the show live. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. We always appreciate your support. And we have Jacob Novak with 50 Swedish krona. Hi, all. If we were going to predict who Microsoft would buy next, a subject talked about a lot, I want Sega. No doubt at all. Number one on my list. And then I want Capcom. This is the list.
Capcom first, personally, but it's all win.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. And of course, we have Victor Alstein also in here with the $2 super chat. He says, Everborn, do you see why Sonic needs the Ori format?
Okay, first of all, that assumes okay.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
We have to respect Daniel McGee's time. We don't have too much time with Daniel McGee.
I know. I'm just going to really quickly. So there are two sides of the Sonic coin, right? There's the 2D Sonic, which everyone loves. I don't think anyone doubts 2D Sonic.
Yep.
Right? And then there's the 3D Sonic, which has been hit or miss, and that's the one people make fun of. But universally, nearly every 2D Sonic game has gotten universal praise, right? Sonic Mania. I mean, they did Sonic 4, which they tried to do in episodes and things like that, and that wasn't received as well. But if we look at Sonic Mania, if we look at and I wish Sonic Mania had like I wish it wasn't like pixelated graphics. I wish they did like kind of.
I actually like the pixelated graphics, although I do agree with you. There should have been a pixelated mode and maybe a hand-drawn mode. Different variations.
Exactly. So there is that, but then the contention with Sonic is the 3D Sonic. And I think what people want for that is the AAA treatment. So that wouldn't be. Now, I do believe Ori should be in the conversation with these AAA games.
Yeah.
But if you're saying there should be a 2D Sonic with Ori-style graphics, I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
But gameplay-wise and critical reception, 2D Sonic is in a very good place and always really has been. Right? So 3D Sonic, on the other hand, I think people want that to get like the the Ratchet and Crank level treatment, like graphically. So I don't know if Ori is the right thing to unless you're just talking about graphics, then yeah.
Okay. And by the way, we have 103 people watching right now. How many? Only likes? 48 likes. Please hit that like button. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. We do this every weekend, and sometimes you'll get extras on your feed. And by the way, speaking of that, I should have mentioned it at the top, because it was a year anniversary for your old Steam Deck. Myself and a couple of other community members jumped on this channel, and we put it in the feed, and we revisited the conversation about it. What we like, what we don't like. They were it wasn't an accolade throwing episode where it was all about how great the Steam Deck was. There was some dissenting opinions. It was a very entertaining show. I appreciate it. It was a shorter show. So if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and consider.
So two things about that I want to talk about.
Really quick. Here we go. Here you go.
So you sent me the link so I could view that video, and you sent me a private YouTube link, which you have to send. I can't view it if it's private. You would have
no. It wasn't private. It was unlisted.
It was private. I clicked on it, and it
was private. Oh, okay. Right. I meant to send you an unlisted. My bad.
Okay. Now the next thing is Andrew Wilkins in the chat. I never said Sonic would triple the sales of Ragnarok.
They're still good for your knees,
very
baby.
Different.
Do it.
That's very different.
He says Everborn said Frontiers would triple the sales of Ragnarok. Xbox fans always have to come up with something untrue to try and go against the godly PlayStation. Sir, I will. Let's set the point. Let's set the record straight. Let's set the record straight. He said that Sonic would sell more than Ragnarok would in the calendar year of 2022. He didn't say triple the sales, but he was absolutely unequivocally wrong and ridiculous for even bringing that to the forefront. He still won't admit it. His knees still belong to me, ladies and gentlemen. But, sir, I appreciate you continuing to put the boot on the neck of EverbornSaga on that one. Thank you, sir.
I was on were not that good for me. Because I even pushed back when Boom said double the sales. I said, slow down now.
Boom likes to double down.
Oh yeah, he goes hard on it. He goes for it. But see, the reason why we don't give Boom slander is when Boom saw that the game was over, he like a gentleman, he bowed out. This man was tripling down. He was like, oh no.
Ride or die, baby.
Yeah, and now your knees are gonna be hunted for the rest of your life on the internet.
That's fine.
And we see the man who makes us sound absolutely excellent every time that we are on this show, the Wandering Dutch himself. He's like, oh, you guys are overtaking me this year with the numbers. Congratulations. Oh, brother, we will never overtake you because your contribution to this gaming community is unparalleled, sir. And we are super excited for the showcase that's coming out this year. So for those that don't know, Wandering Dutch is hosting once again the community showcase that he does. And this year is going to be 2 showcases, not 1. And myself and Mr. EverbornSaga will also be in attendance, and we'll do a little something for that show as well. So please, if you haven't put that on your radar, continue to do so. We keep complaining about other award shows and the other showcases that don't do it for us. So the Wandering Dutch has decided to take it upon himself to do it the right way. So we always appreciate you for being here, sir. Salute to you, and we'll keep our ears and eyes open for what's to come on that front. But okay.
And that's the old political idiom.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see a candidate like you like, then you
then
should
one.
Yourself.
Yes,
and that's what Dutch is doing.
That's right.
Okay, I see some things that I would do better in a presentation. I'm going to do one, and that's how you do it, right?
You don't like the Keeleys? Tune into the Dutchies. It is what it is,
right? And that's the most important thing, right? Like, don't sit back and complain about things. If you think you can do better, then do it.
That's right, and he's proven that he's doing real well. And by the way, I always mention this. Most people think, oh, it's just going to be stuff we've seen before. Yeah, he had stuff on there that you didn't notice that he had on there until Xbox showed it, but he showed it first. So he had some gems in the first one that he did, and I'm sure there'll be more this time around. So thank you so much for being here. Oh, let's see. Oh, he's asking if we got Victor Allenstein's asking if we could play his indie showcase trailer. If he shows, actually, yeah, at some point on the show, I'll pop it on and we can definitely do that for sure. During the course of the show, when we get into the news proper, I will definitely put it on because he put a really interesting showcase trailer together that I will definitely let people see. So, Victor, thank you so much for pointing that out. I'll definitely do that. And then we have Enigmatic Dreams with the $10 super chat saying,
talk about it.
Shout out to KSante. I was on the fence for ordering the Steam Deck. I'm also on Everborn's side. I got a PS5 for Valkyrie for Valkyrie Elysium. Forced me to get the Ragnarok bundle.
Look in the book.
Sony had to prop it up. Great show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Okay. Same thing with Horizon.
Stop it.
Even get those
Stop it. We won't talk about the fact that the game came out, the Frontiers came out at $60, and then like 2 seconds later it dropped to $30 because they knew there was a problem there. Everyone does what they do to sell the numbers.
That there was a problem with Ragnarok since they had to bundle it with the system.
Moving swiftly along, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you real quick what I've been playing, and then we'll get into the news proper because we have to be cognizant of Daniel's time. We don't want to make you late for work, sir. So
no, that's fine.
So let's see here. I have been, of course, giving my life to Hogwarts. If there's a game that I will not stop playing, it is Hogwarts. I have to see the credits roll on that game. And I still refuse to mainline it because I could have been done already. Like people, you can finish that game in 30 hours. I'm almost 60 hours in, but I have to finish all of the side quests as well because once I'm done. So like I'm 60 hours in, and that's on the Series X and S. And then I was like, people were telling me, it's fun to play Slytherin. You can say bad things to a lot of people. So now I have another character where I'm rolling the Slytherin character. So I'm playing them both at the same time.
No matter what house you're in.
True, but when I'm Gryffindor, I feel bad about it. You know what I'm saying? Slytherin, they expect that from you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, doesn't matter which build I'm playing. I'm still doing all the cursed spells. I'm turning people into explosive boxes left and right. It is what it is. I'm just doing that, right? But I'll be nice to you when we talk though, because I'm Gryffindor. It is what it is, right? So I'm doing that, and on the Steam Deck, because they actually, believe it or not, they Valve in support with id Tech has unlocked ray tracing on Doom Eternal on the Steam Deck, so I'm playing that 60 frames with ray tracing.
I forgot.
Yes, sir.
I restarted on the Steam Deck because that's where I'm going to explicitly play it. So I'm starting from the beginning for Streets of Rage 4 because I got shamed by them. So I'm going to play from the beginning all on the Steam Deck. So I can feel like I'm back in the Game Gear days.
Nice.
Streets of Rage 4.
That's a good one to be playing on the handheld deck. That's great, man. Because
they just did that big update too. So,
yeah. I might actually have to go back to that because since I beat that game a while ago, I haven't gone back to it.
You had to add that you beat it and I didn't. Was that necessary?
I wasn't going to do that, but now that you pointed out, since I beat that game by myself,
whatever.
He got to the last boss. He needed help. As soon as he found out that I beat it, he's like, "Nah, man, I'm gonna do it myself." I will not let you live that one down, sir. You just need to let me help you.
You hold it over me that you had to help me, so
so you'll never beat the game, and the developer will keep clowning you about it.
It's okay. I got it on the Steam Deck, so we're gonna see.
I will definitely replay that.
And now Steam.
Yeah, me too. I have it on both Steam, and that is one thing they've done like expertly. Like Valve knows how to get the money out of you, boy. Like just on the deck alone, I have rebought so many games just for the purpose of being able to play it on the go. Like they got me. They really do, and it plays really great on the deck and all of that. We'll get into a little bit of the deck information, but thank you guys so much for being here. Oh wow, this is a rare occurrence, and when it happens, we must acknowledge and we must pay it the respect due. We have Pong Soul in the chat saying, "KSante, yes, Everborn." Daniel McGee, I finally get a chance to catch our Saturday Brothers live in the chat lurking. Fantastic to see you gamers here. This is absolutely great. Thank you, man.
Living split screen after this show's over.
Absolutely. And by the way, like there are some methods that we can, and I'm looking into it. I don't know if it's possible or not, but there are methods where, because I want to do a crossover show one day at the same time, so it doesn't matter which channel you're watching, you can see the same show. It'd be really cool to do that one day with the brothers, but we'll talk about that. I really want to do that one of these days. But great brothers and Living Split Screen. If you're not subscribed to their channel, you definitely definitely should. They are not at 1,000 yet. They 100% should be. So please go check them out. Subscribe to their channel because we lift all boats here. We're all about the gaming talk. We're all about the gaming community, and they are great, great members. So thank you guys so much. But okay, so yes, I've been playing all that. I actually, believe it or not, reinstalled Ori, the Will of the Wisps, just to replay it because the EverbornSaga said he hadn't, and it really reminded me how much of a great game that is, and I kind of restarted that. So yes, shout out to the Grazers. I'm playing multiple games at the same time right now. I guess I'm just waiting for that next really big game to come and take over the whole situation and be that game that everybody talks about. But on that point, sir, I appreciate you seeing where I was going. On the point of games that are coming out that will take everyone by storm, let's talk a little bit about the games in the news proper. And first and foremost, I want to bring up Resident Evil 4 Remake and the ridiculously glowing reviews that it has gotten so far. Daniel McGee, I don't know how much of an RE fan you are, but let's get into it. Have you played the OG?
Yeah, RE was one of my favorite games, and I expect that this will probably also be one of my favorite games, just based on what everyone said. I mean, you're taking one of the best games of all time and you're remaking it, in the same way that they did 2 and 3. I can't imagine how it could possibly fail.
Making them like swift kicks look even better in 4K. It's. I've been
seeing some combos that are not possible in the original game, and I'm excited. I'm real excited.
Now, here's my question, and by the way, you can see some of this here. Like, if for those who have not played it, this is how it used to look, and this is how it look now. Like, I've heard some people talk about it's too gross now, it's too visceral and real now. They enjoyed it back then for what it was, and it was just a game. But now the graphics are just so next level, so visceral that the dead bodies actually make you kind of a little bit when you're watching it. I don't know. Did you try the demo?
No, it's. I thought about it. I sat looking at the demo download for a minute, and I was like, I just want to go in fresh. I just want to play this whole thing. I know I'm just gonna no life it once it comes out and just play it for like 3-4 days straight. So I'm just leaving it out. But I have watched a little bit of the gameplay for it, and I definitely see what you're saying. Like it's definitely a lot more just visceral. It's the evolution in graphics has made it so that it's like it's a lot easier to see what's happening. So your brain isn't like filling in the gaps. It is just on panel right in front of you. And so I can see why that would be rough for some people. And I think there's definitely going to be an argument to be had between, I have the remake version. Do I still want to hold on to the original version? Because that's all backwards compatible on like, basically every platform ever. And you know what? I think we got room for both.
Yeah, I agree. It's like Dead Space. You can try the original one, which did what it did well, and you can try the remake, which is also very well represented, and they have certain differences in there as well. It's really, really cool. Now, before I shoot it to EverbornSaga, I will ask you one question, and let me be clear. This is a padded question. Okay. What are your feelings about RE5?
RE5 is rough. I don't think it's a especially great game. I think for a lot of people, it's. I would be surprised to hear somebody say it's their favorite Resident Evil. I'll put it that way. I think it's got some charm in there in certain ways. I really like Shiva. I think she's a great character. I like punching the boulder. There's a lot of stuff in there I wish didn't exist. Like that entire middle section, what with the gators.
Let me tell you that RE5 was the first game that I played that I went, I kind of feel a little messed up about this. Like, because originally, most that know is I'm African. Like, I wasn't born there, but my family's from there, and all of that. Yeah. So that was the first game. I'm just like, I don't like what you're saying right now, there, Resident Evil. What are you trying to say here with
the Africa medallion?
Yeah, I was a little bit like, I don't know.
Back on camera for
this. Yes, sir. Please.
Let's not like tiptoeing ballerina around this subject.
No, hey, I want to know.
Evil 5 was the first Resident Evil game where they were like, well, you know what? They don't really look like zombies. They just like crazy people. You're just shooting black people in the game. Like that. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah. And you know what they did, right? They went, one of the shooters is also black. So what's your problem? Relax.
Were people saying that back then?
Yes,
I was, of course, like 13 at the time, so I really remember.
I remember this. People were like, "Why are you complaining? One of the saviors is black, so you can't be like, you know." I'm like,
because I had been a massive Resident Evil fan up until that point, and then I bought 5. Yeah, I didn't even make the connection until I started playing the game, and I'm like, okay, so
it was one of the first games I was just like, I don't know about this one, man.
I'm like, what?
I don't know if there was some good ideas in here.
What is happening right now?
Yes.
And I'm like, why don't these people really look like zombies? Why do they feel like okay, we're just gonna go to this poor
Nigerian
African nation?
And because even in 4 where they're not zombies, like they still kind of look like zombies.
They look like zombies, yes.
Right,
yes.
But this was more like you know, we have to defend ourselves from the savages. Is the vibe that I got, and it turned me off of the franchise to the point where I skipped Resident Evil 7. And then I got back on in Village, and then Village made me go back and play 7 because 7 was.
Did you do 6? I noticed that we completely skipped that. I mean,
skip 6.
If you did, nothing missed. Like you didn't.
I don't even know who the characters are.
6 doesn't exist to me.
Franchise after 5, and it's just, and I came back to it, and so now I'm.
So I guess we say all this to say, Capcom, if you're remaking 5, the pitchforks are off screen, player. We gonna come for you. Like I'm just saying. And you know what? Let me put that in the chat. Let's put a poll in the chat and ask what's going on, folks. Resident Evil 5. What are your feelings? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think it's racist garbage? I'm sorry. I have to ask the question.
I think they probably should remake it though. I think they should remake it and just fix it, because right now it's just this sort of horrible mistake that they made, where you're like, this is the first like really bad Resident Evil. Like,
okay. It
had some good things in it, but I mean, like, I wish that Shiva had become a character and wasn't just locked to that game, right? Because she's cool. I like her. And I think that they started going kind of off the wall with just the goofiness. Like, there's that guy who turns into like a zombie fish or something. It's like, what the hell's going on here? So like there are some things in that game where I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, this is a video game. And then there's a lot of that middle section where I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore.
So
I don't feel bad for this.
And you know, let's add this to the conversation about what ended up being Resident Evil 5. Like, if the idea is that and you know, the T virus that we all just went through, the whole you know, I remember specifically there were African countries where they tried to kind of test, like give kind of like old expired.
Yes, that actually happened in IRL. Yes,
companies do try to test out their drugs in other places around the world. So that is a thing that I
remember some government saying, "Sorry, we may not have the money for it, but you're not going to give us your 3-week-old expired drugs, there, gentlemen. Like, you know, either give us the right stuff or don't give it to us at all." And that happened during the old C virus that we're dealing with. So yes,
I could totally see Umbrella testing out their pharmaceuticals over there, but still, the optics will never sit well with me.
I feel you,
and I cannot play a game like that.
So Victor Alistine with a $2 super chat. Thank you again, sir, for the continued support. He says, with RE4 out, can we get a Halo 1 remake? Don't we already have that? Isn't that the Halo Anniversary Edition?
Yeah.
Or you want another remake of the remake? Well, I guess that's a remake, right? That can be called a remake, right? Because they remade the whole thing, right?
I mean, between Anniversary and Master Chief Collection, like, you kind of got like 1.5 there. I don't know. What I really want is a remake of like the original Fallout 1 and 2, like the isometric.
The OG Fallout. Okay, yes. But, and then we have, of course, a $10 super chat from the man, Mr. Joanna Dark, saying, "Shout out to you, awesome gentlemen. Do you think Capcom will remake RE5, or should they just make Code Veronica next? What direction should Capcom go in with RE9?" Yeah, oh, he loves Code Veronica.
Code Veronica
or would you? What take would you like to see? And of course, last but not least, he says Knack is better than Sonic. Ooh, that last piece, bro. Woo, that is painful.
He's just coming in dirty.
He's just coming in slanderous at this point.
He didn't even mean that last bit. He just said it to say.
He just wants to twist the knife at this point, you know. So, Everborn, let me ask you before we move on to this: have you tried that RE4 demo? Are you going to play it? What's the deal?
I'm waiting for day one. I didn't need a demo. I was going to get it anyway.
Okay.
And the fact that it's coming out Friday gives me more time to not play Hogwarts.
This man.
So you guys, I don't know if you guys are seeing this pattern, right?
You're trying to find every game to play except for Hogwarts. Right. Yes.
So I ended up coming to Ori as a way to not play Hogwarts, and now that I've finished both of those,
now you're gonna move on to something else, so you don't have to play Hogwarts.
This is why I'm like, all right, let me try Silk Song and Resident and Street Fighter 4.
Okay.
I mean, this might be the last month of the year where you can really get some backlog in, because
it's starting the dam is about to get broken, and a whole bunch of games are going to start pouring out. I saw, and I know the Wandering Dutch is still in here. I saw his gameplay of Diablo 4. Yo, that game is brutal.
I don't even want to look at it.
It is brutal. Like, woo. It's so good.
I do want to say something about Resident Evil before.
Please, yes.
Now, as far as I understand it, people are saying that the remake looks or performs better on the Xbox. Is that true?
So far, yeah. So far, it's looking that way.
So what I have also noticed in conjunction with that news is that everyone that was taking victory laps around Hogwarts and Callisto and these other games that were performing on the PlayStation, they've been very quiet. Because the fact is, depending on what engine you're using and depending on the development team,
the tools
have more experience optimizing for different platforms.
Yeah.
And so some games will perform better on one, other games will perform better on the other.
Yep.
And it's almost like it's not a conspiracy theory, but everybody shuts up now, and we're going to pretend like this doesn't happen. We're going to pretend like, you don't have resolution, you don't have higher resolutions on the Xbox version.
Yeah, in most of the versions where the Xbox version plays poor, the resolution's also higher. So they're having to account for more, and then that's making their frame rate drop. And then you wash that context away and go, they suck. And you're just like, well, the other one's playing at 1440p. What are we doing here?
Last week that was super weird, where we were like, oh, look at everything you were talking at the start of the generation. Now all of the games perform better on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And I was just like, first of all, a whatever 2-3 frames a second difference is not material to your experience, right? You can't see that. It's just Digital Foundry gave that to you, and now you're coming.
Now you're using it as the talking point. Yes.
But now everybody that was doing that last week has shut up now as it relates to Resident Evil, and they're like, "Well, at least I'm going to get a VR version, so we have the best version." So my point is, I, as a whole, because I'm not doing a victory lap because the Xbox is performing better on Resident Evil 4. The whole argument itself is stupid.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. There's so many versions of this where the game will come out, and on either side, and the game will run a little bit better on one of them. And you see all these people. It happens more often on the PlayStation side, but I think that might just be because there's more PlayStation fans, and so by percentage, there would be more awful PlayStation fans who suck. But like, there's people who suck everywhere. We all know that.
True.
But whenever that happens, they'll just be like taking this piece of news and being like, "Oh, this game runs so much better on PlayStation." And then you look into it, and it's like it runs like 2 frames better. Like, what are we talking about? Like, who cares?
But what we can all agree about is that these are all far better than the Switch. I'm sorry. Before we continue, sir, would Daniel McGee like to regale us with his thoughts on the Switch? Because I heard him say this on Boom Show, and it required me just like taking a moment to just drink it all in, because I have never seen an analogy heard it made so expertly well to define what I consider the abacus. Oh Lord, thank you so much for bringing that into the world.
Getting commercials, YouTube throwing commercials in the chat. And the people in the chat are saying YouTube's throwing us into a commercial.
Oh, throwing commercials? Oh, that's terrible. They keep doing that. I turned off the pre-roll and all that. I was able to turn it off, but unfortunately, it seems like we can't get away from it. That's why you got to join that premium stuff.
Xbox 2 this week too, so I guess it's just like a new thing that they've rolled out.
They're just pushing it into but before we move on from this RE topic, I want to hear you regale us with your thoughts on that, Daniel. Go ahead.
Yeah, so let me preface by saying I am generally speaking a fan of Nintendo. Like, I do play a lot of their games, but they are just so far behind in basically every aspect. I think the way that I worded it on the previous show was that Nintendo will put out a game that's good, and we will all pretend that it's great. And it's just this trend that happens all the time. So it's gotten to the point where I sort of look at the Nintendo fan base and the Nintendo games in the same way that Starfleet, like Star Trek Starfleet, looks at an underdeveloped planet. You see them down there. You see them down there, and they're playing with their sticks and their rocks, and they're eating poop, and you're flying in your spaceship. You've got pretty much everything figured out. I mean, you got some Borgs to deal with every now and then, but, you got everything else pretty much figured out.
And the Borgs would be what, the console warriors on the other side, right?
And you're like, you're just looking down on them, and you're like, man, bless their heart. They're having so much fun with their hoop and stick. I can't stop them. Prime Directive says I shouldn't go in there and knock the poop out their mouth and tell them what the game is. I'm not gonna come in and tell them that they can't have fun playing their game that looks like it came out 15 years ago.
Oh boy.
So it's.
Man, like and your assessment is so spot on. It really is. The games are second to none, right? But if they only had hardware that really leveraged their like really pushed that game to the higher heights, they could own the whole thing. Because gaming wise, how many of their games come out that you hear are buggy and are a mess? Usually none, right? But they just don't have the tech together for some reason. They've always just chosen to cripple themselves to really ailing hardware. It's just ridiculous. But the Star Trek analogy is, man, like, I don't think I've heard a better one. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Well, because I don't know. So I do like a lot of their games, but there is that thing where a game will come out and people will just talk about it like it's the most amazing thing that's ever happened. And one that I think was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back for me was Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
I played it and I was like, yeah,
wow, there's some slander on here. Ooh, okay.
100%. We're going, it's fine.
Go hard, baby. Let's go.
That game came out and I played it, and I was like, it's pretty fun. Like, this is an alright game. And people were like, this is the best open world game ever. So there's so many things that other games can learn from this. And I'm like, this is it's fun, but it's like a pretty mediocre open world. Like, this open world has.
I'm gonna need you to slow down here, sir. I'm gonna need you to slow down with this Zelda slander, sir.
There's like 3 towns with 2 people in it who all look the same. Like, you got 900 little golden turds you can go and collect. If you for some reason want to hold another styrofoam sword that'll break in 2 seconds.
The Master Sword breaking was just a Travis Shamocracy of epic proportions. I don't understand that, but that's neither here nor there. Yes.
Yeah, or like, you can go and do all the, what is it, like 90 shrines, 70 shrines or something. And really, there's only like 4 or 5 of them that are just remixed and rematched. And people are like, there's so much. Anywhere you go, you can find something. And I tested that out. And it's like, oh, hey, over here, there's 3 wooden baskets, and 2 of them have apples in it. I wonder what happens if I put an apple in the third one. Oh, look, here's a golden bird to go take to the big guy who will let me
okay. We don't want the Nintendo people to come with their pitchforks. Like, let's go.
Yeah, they can come find me. At DaveJMcG on Twitter. Come
man,
yell at me. It's fine. I've seen it before. You won't say nothing I've not heard before.
Oh man, but see, not everybody is against you though. We got Black John in the chat saying, "Hey, let the man cook. Let him cook. He's cooking, like you can do in Breath of the Wild." I'm just saying.
It's true. I actually do like the cooking in Breath of the Wild. I think it's a fun game. I just don't think it's like, oh my god, this is the best game ever.
Hey, Genshin Impact says hello. Like they literally took their whole like art style and whole cloth from Breath of the Wild. But yes, I hear you. I still play Breath of the Wild though. I will say,
I'm still gonna play Tears of the Kingdom.
On the deck, it shines bright. It is 60 frames. It is glorious. That's on the deck.
How you playing that Nintendo game on your Steam Deck? What's going on?
I dump it from the eShop and strip out the encryption and then put it in an emulator, and it's on the deck. They don't like you, but it's not illegal.
About that today, because I need to get some things onto the Steam Deck.
Okay.
Specifically, a Dreamcast game.
That's easy. That's easy. Dreamcast games play great on the deck. Yeah.
Yeah. So Billy Hatcher is a game from Sonic Team.
Okay.
Very sort of.
Man, pulling
Mario
the obscure games.
4 style.
Okay.
It was a franchise that they tried to get going, but like it kind of died with the Dreamcast. But it was they were doing a lot of interesting things, and this was like Sonic Team at the height of their power. So I want to check it out. Somebody told me about it. They showed me some clips. It looks super interesting.
Cool. We'll check it out for sure.
And I want to.
You know, we out here like to deep dive on weird, obscure games that you don't remember or don't care about, and then we make you care about it. So that's going to be our next protocol. That's good for sure. Let me close out this Resident. Yeah, you see what I did there? This Resident Evil topic, and say, so when Resident Evil 5 comes out, we are primed for a very, very, very interesting discussion because I put a poll out. Resident Evil 5, what do you think? 31% say classic, 31% say racist crap, and 38% say, what you talking about, Kay? Okay, we are primed for a very interesting discussion if and when this game is released. Let's put a pin in that one real quick. I will close this out, and we will move forward. That will be quite interesting. Okay, well, but before we do though,
let me give one thing of praise to Resident Evil 5.
Please do.
I hate the co-op element that they added.
Okay,
it was a big deal at the time.
Okay,
and you get to punch a boulder.
Well, I wouldn't know that because I played it for like an hour and I was like, all of my senses were offended, and I'm like, get this F out of my face. So
my senses were offended, he said.
It's definitely, we've gotten to the point where all of the good classic Resident Evils have already been redone. So now it's like, which direction are they going to go? Are they going to go
That's the question.
Zero, which was like, ooh, are they going to go with Code Veronica, which was like, or are they going to go with Resident Evil 5, which is like,
you hear that, Joe in the dark?
See, we all have our sacred cows. Mine, Dino Crisis. Where the hell's Dino Crisis, ladies and gentlemen? But okay. Let's go.
You got Exo Primal. That's kind of like that.
That is not the same. Stop it. That is not the same.
What we need is a Power Stone 3.
See, we all have our sacred cows.
I saw you tweet that like yesterday or something, and I genuinely was like, "There's a Power Stone too."
Come on, man. You are cursing at me now, sir.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sorry, I didn't know. I'm not saying it's bad. I just didn't know it existed.
No, I'm just saying in a world where Smash Brothers is such a big deal.
In
a world where fighters are on the way back. I really feel like
big year for fighters.
Power Stone could be huge right now, and it's not like this is Capcom we're talking about. They know how to make a fighting game.
Oh yeah, 100%. Absolutely, yeah. They probably just don't see the need to put the energy there when Street Fighter's out there.
That's why we need to start talking about it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I do agree with you on that. 100% I do. Let me diverge just for a moment because we are gonna on this episode we will talk some. We like to be on the real here. I kind of and this will be a little later in the episode. I do want to talk about the season that was The Last of Us, right? The whole show, and we'll talk about it a little later. But because we are on the show and we tend to be pop culture in general, I just want to take just a moment to stop and talk about the fact that we lost a legend this week. Like, a legend. It messed up my day. I was not happy to hear the news that Lance Reddick, star of The Wire, John Wick, for our audiences, Destiny 2, and many other like great games. We lost him this week. So for just a moment, I just wanted to recognize that and bring that to the front. I mean, you probably heard about it if you follow the same circles we do. It's just, you don't know how much of an impact this man has had in games alone, let alone movies and TV. And the fact that he lost his life at such a young age, it took me by surprise, and I was very, very disheartened by the news. It took me some time.
Yeah,
the other thing you don't know is how long any of us have.
Yes, sir.
Not to be like existential or anything, but like 60 years old, out of nowhere. Maybe we'll hear about what it was, because everybody. Yeah. But like, he had just posted a video where he didn't look sick in the face, right?
Strong as he always does. Yeah.
Right. And he seemed to be pretty in shape.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So you just do not know when your last day is, right? So I say that to say, tell the people you love them.
That's right.
And maybe don't be such a dick to people all the time.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Just something to think about, man. Because it could be a loved one, it could be me, it could be you, it could be
anybody at any time. Yes.
And it's not,
and it's a gut punch when it happens every time. Yeah. You're just like, what the actual, it shook people to the core. I know it shook me. I was stunned that this was where we were. It just
I was out of nowhere. Like they say it's natural causes, but for me, it's like I can't think of any. I mean,
how are you gonna be 60 and die of natural causes? That makes no sense. Yeah,
right. That's rough. That's way too young to be going, and it's way too young for us to be losing him, because he was such a great talent and amazing voice, so good, iconic. Like, you could hear this man's voice.
Just the look on his face speaks volumes in certain like, he's the dude that walks into a room, has the eyes, he won't say a word, and you know exactly what's on his mind. The man was prolific. He was brilliant, and it's just so terrible to have lost him at such a young age. I, for one, and I know a lot of slander gets thrown at Horizon Zero Dawn, he made that game.
He's the best part of it.
He made that game. He
classed up the joint.
Right? Yes, he did. Indeed, he did.
Yeah, yes. I like those games, but I still think he's the best part of it.
Yep. And of course, the Destiny diehards know Commander Zavala. Forgive me, Vazala. See, I always switch that up. But yes, his voice is super iconic. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. Like, I suggest you retire that character, because nobody else can do him justice. I don't know, but just
3 like fairly recent memory that have all hit me really hard. It was Kevin Conroy, and it was Chadwick Boseman, and it was just like, ugh.
Yep.
And then,
that tells me I'm getting old.
They did a whole thing for Chadwick again, and it just brought it all right back. And it was, man, it's been a rough time.
It's been a rough time, yeah. 2023, it just tells me I'm getting old, because all the people who seem to be supermen who will never leave us are slowly, it's happening, and it's just terrible, just absolutely terrible. But okay, I didn't mean to bring us down. I'm sorry about that, but I felt the need to acknowledge it, because, man, we lost a legend this week. It was so unfortunate. But yes, if you have a chance to go check out some of his old work, go check out some, even on Xbox. He contributed to one of last generation's unsung heroes. I forget the name of the game. It escapes me right now. The game from Remedy Games.
Quantum Break.
Quantum Break. There you go. He was a part of Quantum Break, and it was a great part of Quantum Break. So if you haven't had a chance to, just go check out more of his work. Remember him and honor him in his artistry. But yes, it is unfortunate that he passed us. So okay, let us move on. Let's pick it up a little bit, because over here we always talk about those who do it right. And I saw this week, and he actually replied back to my tweet that I sent him, and I really appreciated that. Shuhei Yoshida received honors at BAFTA this week for his years of service, as it were. I consider him like one of the old guard at Sony. Back when Sony was very forward-facing, back when they were very approachable and communicative with the community, he's one of the great old guys from the Sony camp that you'll see him give props to Xbox and anybody who does really good work in that space. When I think when the Xbox came out, he was on Twitter with his new Xbox, playing with it, showing people. We see that pretty often, and some people call it pandering, some people call it whatever they call it, but I still like that he's very forward-facing and he likes to really put it out there and be part of the community at large and not really keep to his side, as it were. So I thought it was really wonderful that they're acknowledging his contributions. What do you guys think? I'll start with you, Daniel. Like, do you have any history? Do you know of Shuhei Yoshida? I think he kind of got demoted and turned into like the indie guy for a while, right? But he is... To me, he looms large in that environment.
Hey, really quick, I will be right back. Got to check something in the front of the house.
No worries, sir. Go ahead. No worries, sir. Yeah.
I think, Shuhei Yoshida is, from everything I've heard, obviously I haven't met the guy, is just a phenomenal human being, and I'm so glad to see him awarded for all the work he's put in. I talk a lot of slander on PlayStation. And that's because a lot of their executives and higher ups, I just really don't like the way that they run their business and the way that they conduct themselves. I have never once had that problem with Shuhei. I think that he is a kind man and a very gentle person. When I see him interacting with other content creators and stuff, he always seems like he's in a good mood and is just there to have fun. I can't specifically speak to what deals or what business actions were his, so I couldn't tell you. I assume he must be a good businessman because he's been in the position for as long as I can remember.
These days he's very much focused on indies at PlayStation, but before he used to be part of everything. Yeah, he used to be part of everything. Since the tenure of Jim Ryan, he's been more in the indie space. There, I think that role changed.
It was super weird, right? Because that was part of that whole rollout. Is Sean Layden disappeared, and I don't think I still don't think we've gotten an answer for what happened there.
Yeah, it's more rumor and speculation on that side.
Yeah, and then Shuhei, who I think everyone was pretty much immediately assuming was going to step up into that position just because he was the next biggest face. Was relegated to doing their indie contracts or getting indie games going, and he's been doing a good job.
He became Chris Charla from Xbox, basically the same role. Right?
Which is such a weird it feels like a demotion. I'm sure. At least
felt that way to me. Like he deserved a bigger pedigree, a bigger stage than moving him to the left, as it were. And
then they gave the position to Herman Holtz, who, to be fair, he's been running first party studios and they're still doing good work. So he's doing fine. But I would have assumed that would have been Shuhei's position. I don't know.
And to hear some people tell it, as nice as a man as you hear him, and every time you see him, he represents so well. He's such a soft-spoken gentleman, so nice. But in the boardroom and when he's behind closed doors with developers, the man's a pit bull. I hear he'll tell you to get this crap out of here and get him something that he is out there. You can't imagine it, right? Because he's such a humble, nice dude, But I hear he'll tear you to pieces if he needs to. I'm like, really? Wow.
I would actually kind of love to see that.
Me too. I would love to see that because, man, from what you can tell, he just seems like such an approachable, wonderful guy, So, so there you go. But no, I just thought I'd bring it up because salute to him. I hope Sony changes because, this whole ABK thing, and we'll talk about that towards the later half of the show. But this whole ABK thing, what excites me about it is they will stop resting on their laurels and just have to fight and compete again, really get in the trenches again. And I hope that they revisit a lot of the stuff they used to do, including having more forward-facing execs, the people that communicate more during Shuhei's tenure, kind of.
Let's remember that the reason that the PlayStation exists in the way that it is now, where it's putting out all of these really killer first-party games, is because during the 360 generation, they got their butts handed to them. And they were like, okay, how do we fix this? What can we do to turn this around? And Sean Layden and I think to a lesser extent Jack Tretton and probably Shuhei, honestly, put together this plan of we're going to bring back God of War, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. and they've been killing it. You know, I might not agree with their business practices lately, because I think that they're doing some things that I don't agree with, like crossplay tax, which is really weird. I think probably shouldn't exist. But I mean, you can't argue with results, and they put out good games.
True, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So we here on this show say salute to Shuhei Yoshida. We hope he's in this industry for far longer, and hopefully, as things shake out, he's more of a presence you see more, because I think he does it right. And actually, I like Herman Hulst as well. But then again, I'm in the bag. I lived in the Netherlands for many years. I've actually stood in front of Guerrilla Games' studio and went, I've geeked out right in front of their studios.
I think I've only heard Herman talk once or twice.
Yeah,
there was once right after he got his promotion, and then maybe one other time.
Yeah, these days they bring him out to bring out bad news, to set up bad news for people, because he knows how to say it in a proper manner, you know. So, but I like Herman. Herman knows how to communicate.
His own bad news because he keeps putting his foot in his mouth.
foot in mouth disease.
Because he just keeps, man. Do you remember that there was a stretch of like 4 or 5 months where it felt like every time he put out a press release, he said something stupid.
Something even worse than the last time. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But okay, let us move on. And actually, we have a bit more Nintendo talk, and this might lead to other news here. Nintendo confirming that they will not attend E3 2023. Is this surprising? And actually, for that matter, neither will Xbox, neither will PlayStation still. Like, what do we think this means? I mean, specifically for Nintendo, I'm not necessarily that surprised, but like myself and Boom are super excited to go to E3 this year, and we're still making plans to do that.
Too. Well, assuming I get my email back.
Oh yeah,
I got an email back saying that they were working on it. So you know, they didn't say get out of my face. So
sure. Yeah. So, what do you think, man? It still looks like the big platform holders, the ones that you'd want to be there, don't seem like they're going to be there. What do you think?
You know, on some level, that is for sure a bummer. You know, I think that we all sort of are going to end up missing the days where, you know, you go to E3, and I never got to experience it firsthand, but where you go to E3 and you've got that hallway that, you know, if you Google E3, you're going to get a picture of it immediately, where it's Xbox on one side and PlayStation on the other, and there's like the big walls.
Yeah.
You know, that's great, and I really wish that we'd get that again. Xbox, I think, is playing sort of a middle ground that I don't know, more willing to accept, where they're still doing something around the same time, and they're going to be like across the street, and it's unclear whether or not your pass will get you into the show floor over there from E3. Maybe
to my understanding, it's not. Like, they are no longer associated officially. So back in the day, one pass would get you into both. Now you have to get a different pass. Like, you know, there's Xbox's stuff, and then there's it's kind of interesting how they do. Ooh, real quick, let me stop for a moment and acknowledge. I see Gerald Mack in here asking that he didn't hear his last super chat, but he's hungry. He's so hungry and close to loving this. We got a great shout out to GCP, bro. We did read out your chat, but I will read it out again because of course you spend your hard-earned ducats. I want to make sure that your statement is heard. He said, "Shout out to the Gaming Circle podcast and the esteemed guest. Sorry I'm late. I'm watching. He was busy watching Destin Legary's David Jaffe interview, and he's saying shout out to the awesome chat. He's great to see everybody. If that's not the one I saw, I'm sorry, sir. I'm still looking through. I think that was the last one you sent, but we want to make sure we acknowledge everybody that leaves the chats in here. And I apologize if you didn't catch that the first time. But salute to you, good sir. Yes, you should definitely check it out. It's an interesting interview. It looks like Destin is out here really doing some interesting things now. Yeah, absolutely. So I did see Britt in here saying that they, to be fair, the Nintendo hasn't really brought out, hasn't been a part of E3 since like 2015.
Yeah. You know? And neither has PlayStation for the most part.
Yeah.
It's the thing with me is, so I don't necessarily care about E3 specifically. You know, I have no like loyalty to the branding E3 or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
But what I want is an event where they all show up. You know, and we kind of get that with the Game Awards, but it's very much a different thing. where it's not like them all doing their own independent things and sort of competing.
Yeah.
It's them, being like, we're an industry and we're friends. And even that, it hasn't really happened since the three heads were out on the stage.
And it seems like those game fests always have that Keeley element that doesn't. And no shade to Keeley at all. He's out there doing what he does. I appreciate what he brings. No, like if I want great trailers and what's next and all of that, that's good. But like I sometimes like award shows and or events that you can tell are, level-headed and represent evenly. And say what you will, whether you like or you dislike him, he does not represent all brands evenly. He just doesn't. Like that's just it. And because of that, it's gaming through his lens. Right, and sometimes I like gaming without a specific lens to be focused on it. And the old days of E3 where everybody was just there, I think was the best. So I do understand what you mean by that. It's unfortunate that it seems that we may never get back to that. We may never.
Well, and the other downside is because Xbox is still doing live shows, right, where they're up in front of an audience and they're doing all this. Nintendo and PlayStation, to my knowledge at least, aren't
doing any of that. Yeah,
E3.
No.
And I don't think it's mandatory for them to do that, but you're never going to hit that pinnacle of like hype and excitement as you get with a live crowd reaction.
True.
And like PlayStation has put out their state of plays have generally not been very good, but their showcases that they've done since have been really good. And then Nintendo is very hit and miss, where they always let you know beforehand whether or not it's going to be a good one, so it's hard to be mad about it. But I don't know. I miss the big E3 showcases. I feel like Nintendo,
the Super Bowl of E3, we missed that. Yeah,
because their directs are fine to good, but I feel like, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not a huge Nintendo fan, but I feel like there hasn't been a really great Nintendo Direct.
Do you remember the last Direct? The last Direct that they had? It was not too long ago. It was like a month, not even a month ago or something.
Oh, okay.
Right? And they showed they had a 45-minute show. They showed crazy amounts of games. Like the by and large, a lot of people really dug it. But that tells me I'm off the Nintendo train because I gave it a D. They were just throwing stuff at the wall and many of them were just beyond me, right? And I'm an indie lover. I love indies. It didn't connect with me. I don't know.
Yeah, it could. Well, because it was. I think they showed Pikmin 4, and I think they showed maybe something for Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah,
that's when they shadow dropped Metroid Prime remastered. That's when they shadow dropped it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there were definitely good things there. I'm not, the Nintendo Direct format clearly is working for them. But I just, I guess it's also maybe part of the problem is that both Nintendo and PlayStation right now, they have so many teams that we have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like PlayStation right now, we only know. I guess we know that
Spider-Man 2
is doing it because they always do that.
Yeah. And Spider-Man 2, we know Wolverine, and that's it.
And we think that Naughty Dog is at least somewhat involved in the Factions game that is not going to be
called
Factions.
Sure, yeah. And they've also said that they're working on their next title, but we don't know when that'll release or what it's about.
Yeah, if Naughty Dog announces another game right now and it's not a Last of Us thing, with just how in the conversation it is right now and how desperately in need of more content they're going to be for if they're going to make that a show. It probably would still be a good game because they generally make good games, but it's leaving money on the table. To not be working on a Last of Us game.
Sure. Especially the reception of the show. They really need to be focusing on a Last of Us game, whether it be Naughty Dog or some other team within their ranks that possibly can take that ball forward. I do agree with you on that. All right, so...
And all of them are doing. Whenever they finally have their showcase, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
But it's been over a year, 2 years or something. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I'm not about that hodgepodge of let's release this here. I loved it when Ubi and EA and Bethesda and Microsoft and Sony and they all kind of lumped together in a matter of 2, 3, 4, 5 days where everybody could just sit down. I would tell my children that Papa's a ghost, he's not here, and I'm holding my popcorn, I'm holding my drink, and I'm just sitting there just geeking out at the screen for the next 3, 4 days. You know what I'm saying? That seems to be gone whether we like it or not, and that's just unfortunate for me. But they're doing what they can. They're doing what's best for them. I can't fault them for it. No. Yeah, it is what it is. Okay, let us move forward. Let me quickly. Let's quickly, and I wanted to talk about this when Everborn comes back. We'll get into the potential rumors and speculation that's coming up. But let me quickly ask you. Let me take a pulse of you and the community here, and ask you how much of a PC gamer you are. Do you play anything on PC? You must, if you're an Age of Empires fan.
Yeah, so I really kind of got my start on PC. My first console was a PS2, but I was playing on PC for probably 5 years before that. Just stuff like Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, like the Zoo Tycoons, Unreal Tournament 2000.
The Tycoons, man, they took over the childhood. They really did.
They really did. You start putting
now they're the 2 points. The Tycoons have given way to the 2-point hospitals, the 2-point campuses.
Well, still, what's the new zoo builder one? Is it Planet Zoo? I haven't touched it yet, but it looks good.
Yep.
So I do play on PC to an extent. My PC is in desperate need of an
upgrade. Okay. I
haven't been doing it so much lately.
Okay.
Really,
I bring it up because there's this. I'm sorry, we had a little bit of a delay, so I didn't catch you. Say that again. Sorry.
Really. So I still play on PC to some extent, but the majority of it at this point is like the Total War games. Like, Warhammer Total War.
Yeah.
When my computer is not going to be able to run it very well.
Understood.
And I want to save that experience for when I hopefully shortly get a new computer. But
awesome. Okay. I bring it up because we're in the middle of the Steam Spring Sale. Now, I for one am one here that I'm trying to dispel the notion that PCMR is all about master and that we're better and all of this. It's because PC people are cheap, ladies and gentlemen. PC people are cheap, and these are the times when you come to recognize that. Because even if you're not a PC gamer, I suggest you take a look at some of these prices. You console folks are paying $60 for games that are going for $41, and I'm talking Callisto Protocol. You paid $70 for that. By and large, and it's going for $41, things like that. And even further down the line, if you want older games, there are some like franchises where you get the entire franchise for under $10, like all of Tomb Raider, all of the Witcher franchise, all of the Star Wars games, and they're all like peanuts on the dollar. It's just ridiculous some of the sales that are going on right now.
Yeah, and if you're willing to mess with your drivers and wait for Steam to update every time you turn on your computer.
Oh, here he goes. There he goes. Yes. Clearly, we're speaking with a console player.
I'm just saying, it's just such a hassle. Every time you turn it on, I check my settings and make sure that it's getting the best frame rate because my processor is only an i5 and really it's an i7 for this game. And, I'm running on a 1070 and it should really be a 360.
I like the way you're talking. I think a lot of people in this chat will be with you, sir.
Windows Live is making my frame rate bad, so I gotta go and uninstall that.
Keep going.
Just so much work. I put a game in my Xbox and it plays.
And it just plays. Yes, and it plays. Absolutely.
When I get back from work, I don't want to be like, well, I'm gonna hop on this game in 60 minutes after all my stuff finishes updating.
Finishes downloading and updating and background streaming. Yes, I understand, sir. I understand. Let me catch up on a few of the super chats that have come in here. Gerald Mack, once again, with a $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, love you guys. It's a great show. Thank you so much for your continued support, sir. I appreciate you. And, of course, we have JD Gamer in here. Welcome, JD. He says, and it's a $20 super chat. He says, first time catching you guys live, so I had to show some support. Thank you. Great show, guys. Keep it up. By the way, I want E3 to be the Super Bowl of gaming as it should be, and gaming needs it. Developers, publishers, content creators, consumers all benefit. Bro, I completely agree. I miss those days. It looks like we may not be long for that world anymore, but I will opine the days when I used to tell my children to leave me alone because I'm watching E3. Doesn't look like it's going to happen anymore.
Low-key kind of hoping that the like state of play Nintendo Direct format just like all of a sudden doesn't work anymore for no reason, so that we can go back to it. I just miss live shows. I think is the biggest thing. Because I really want just that crowd reaction.
I miss Microsoft doing EXO. Like, what happened? It used to be a big thing that they used to do, and it's been a while since they've even spoken about it.
Yeah, they did for like the 2 years leading up to COVID, and then like they just haven't.
And then it was
yet. I was hoping
done.
they would bring it back this year.
Yeah.
But I guess
I think the last one was in Mexico, if I recall correctly. The last one was in Mexico, but that was a
was
while
that the
ago.
one where they acquired Obsidian and In Exile?
Yes, that's when they announced a few of those. Yes, I think so. Yeah. Oh, and of course we have Gerald Mack once again with a $20 super chat. Bro, you are too generous and too kind. Thank you so much. He says, with all the cloud service deals Microsoft is making, is it painting the regulators into a corner where they have to start thinking about their image opposed to saving Sony? That's an interesting question, sir. I appreciate your support. I will say, to me, it looks like they're trying to make that talking point lose teeth, because that was a talking point that actually mattered a little bit, right? Oh, cloud, and they are known as a cloud provider. So if you're going to keep cloud from others, that becomes a sticking point that various regulators can go, see, this is what you're doing. So now they're very much, you get a cloud, everybody gets a cloud. GCP cloud is next, you know what I'm saying? The Gaming Circle cloud, it's all over the place.
That was always one of the things that sort of bothered me about the original sort of argument against the acquisition, not from the people, but from the CMA or whatever. Because they were like, you're gonna have a monopoly over the cloud thing, and it's like, well, the cloud isn't really a thing right now. Like they're trying to make it a market, and I think all these deals that they've been making are just proving that, you know, obviously they're probably doing it mostly to get through the regulators a little bit easier, but like it proves that they're at least willing to help out, just make this market a thing, so that you know they can probably dominate it later. But still,
he says that quietly under his breath.
Look, sometimes you say the quiet part inside. Sometimes.
What did I miss?
Sometimes like that guy at the Oscars who said no person is more important than profits.
Important than profits. Yeah, I saw that. I was like,
out loud.
I was like,
why are you saying that?
Did you get to say that? I don't think you did. I don't think so. Everborn, thank you for welcome back, sir. I was just asking him about E3, Nintendo looking like they're not going to show up again for the umpteenth time. We already knew that, but it looks like a lot of others aren't showing up either. You know, Reed Pop is out here trying their best to rekindle the fires of E3. Does it will we see this thing become a thing? Because myself and a few others are super excited, but it looks like it might be a shell of its former self. What do you think, sir? Oh, and you are muted, sir.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
I can hear you, sir.
So here's the thing. This is the first time, and I have done business with Reed Pop before. We've been an exhibitor at Comic-Con before. We're actually trying to get in right now, so I'm very familiar with it. But E3 being run by Reed Pop right now and being sort of more fan focused it's a very different thing, because you have to look at if you're going there and you are a you're a publisher, you have something to show. Really, E3 started as sort of a show that, yes, there's a public sort of marketing aspect to it, but it was all about the backroom deals that get done there.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? Now sort of shifting more towards a fan event. You know, the companies that are involved, one, they have to weigh how much they're spending to be there, and secondly, they have to say, is that money worth it for what they could effectively do with most people are going to watch these things online anyway. And
let's keep it a buck. The ESA was charging exorbitant fees for things that the companies, like, it's the equivalent of a movie theater. You can't bring your own popcorn, but this popcorn costs $40. That's what they were doing to all of the people who were displaying. I heard like rugs and carpets costing over $100,000, even though they could have brought their own. Like, it was just ridiculous at the height of ESA's power. So
right,
but I guess that all leads to them going, screw this.
You chalk that up to marketing dollars, but in the world today, where you don't have the same press gatekeepers that are going to say, okay, this is the channel where everyone's going to see it, and so therefore you have all those eyeballs. People are already going to be looking for this content around that time. Right? You can have your own show.
As long as you do it well.
Right. So why pay them the money? And also, do you really need the presence there, right?
Yeah.
And so, I wonder if it's, I don't know what the pricing structure is for this new thing.
Yeah,
it seems like more of a fan event than it is.
Although I will say, like, based on what we've seen from ReedPop and how they're talking about it, there is a time for the insiders to communicate, right? A business event, and then there's a day in between, and then the rest of the time is for fans. So they do have that separation where content reporters and all and the various developers and publishers can still come there and make their business deals as they do, because that will not be for the open public. And then there's a day in between, and then they'll have the fan event. So we'll see how it works, but I hear ReedPop does good work in that area. They've been doing a lot of the other shows for a while now. So
as I said, I've worked with them for New York Comic Con, so I'm very familiar with the way they operate. They put on a great. It's not really like an event, but you know what I'm saying. It's like a trade show. By the way, shout out to J Rock in the chat. Shout out to J-Rock.
I saw J Rock. What's going on, sir? I actually hope to have you on one of these days, J Rock.
I want to know if you brought the Gremlins. That's what I want to know.
But to your topic on E3, real quick, JD Gamer drops a $5 super chat and says, "We need E3. Simply put, there is no substitute for human interaction and collaboration. It improves creativity and efficiency. The pandemic taught us that." So there's the point on that one.
Yeah.
I will say
we need it, but do they need it?
Yeah.
Not everybody's Moon Studios, though. Not everybody can adapt that way, So that whole thing, we'll see what ReedPop does.
Nobody's hands-on keyboard at E3, right?
True.
You are there to cut deals if it's the backroom stuff. You're there
moving and shaking.
Talk to the gaming press so that they can spread the word out about your stuff. So we may need it. I think it's important to have a communal event for all the people that spend their money, their hard-earned money in this thing and making it, the biggest form of entertainment there is. That part is important, but in terms of the big people showing up, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's also a big thing though, and I think more so to JD's point was it's a thing for like networking between the studios too. Like one of the things that we talk about a lot with just all the acquisitions that Xbox has been making or PlayStation has been making is like, Bungie can help teach these other people how to, do more multiplayer stuff, or, id can show people how to make guns feel real good, and, stuff like that. And I don't think necessarily they're like, holding these meetings where they're like, "Hi,
that's more GDC,
Talk."
Right? They do some of those TED Talk type situations. Yeah.
But it's that beginning a conversation where, these developers can talk to each other, and then maybe if they're like, "Hey, maybe we should reach out to it and see how do we do that?" Maybe we should
it breaks the ice so they can have further communications down the line.
And I think it also sort of helps break down the sort of console barriers and stuff like that. Because I feel like one of the things that has been sort of an issue since the pandemic, especially, is building up these in separate areas where it's like, oh well, these people work with this company and these people work with that company, and it's like, I don't think that the developers necessarily feel that way in the same way that the fans do, and it would be cool to see them collaborate in more I don't know, fluid and interesting ways.
You're right. They used to be more of a community as a whole back when they could just meet people at trade shows. Now, since it's all online a lot, it seems like it's a lot more siloed, a lot more our people versus their people, when you got to see a lot more interaction between the teams more during those type of events. I do see what you mean there. There's so many super chats today. Thank you guys so much for all the support. All that will be put into the channel. I appreciate you guys. There's more coming in as we're chatting here. Randy G with a $5 super chat saying, "What up, fellas? Great show. I'm here enjoying the podcast while waiting 2 hours in the Diablo 4 queue." Son of a damn. That just sucks, bro. I'm sorry about that.
This is why I'm not playing it until it comes out.
Yeah.
I remember having to wait those times for World of Warcraft back in the day, but I don't think I would do that.
That's a bit brutal, no? That's a bit much. I'm like, 2 hours. Damn, man. That sucks.
JD Gamer has another one.
Yep. I see JD Gamer in here with another one. Thank you, JD Gamer. He's here. Ooh, and that's a big one, too. He says, with a $20 super chat, thank you for your generosity. He says, how many devs will see someone else's game in early production and incorporate similar mechanics? How many publishers will find devs and games they would have never heard, seen, or how many consumers will find their next favorite game? Absolutely. And so that's what breeds it at E3 and events.
And it's certainly not the only way for them to do that, but I think I think it makes it a lot more convenient.
It does. You're right. Go ahead, Everborn.
So a couple of things to that question. You know, we're specifically talking about whether like Nintendo is going to show up, or
I use Nintendo as a framing device, but it's just the idea that it's changing so much, right? They're no longer there,
right? Because we see this with like CES also, right? A lot of the times you won't see, like, you know, Microsoft's always there, but you won't see like Apple there, right? You won't see. So the thing is, that's absolutely correct, but does that need to happen in this event, right? Because you still have to consider the economics of it, and there are other ways for, and I'm specifically talking about the bigger guys, because for the indie developers, it's absolutely amazing and it's essential. And I can speak to this just from the comic book world, right? Or the indie published comic book world. So whenever I go to a Comic Con, I'm not really there as a fan. I'm there to network. I'm there to talk to other creators. I'm there to see who's using what printer. You know what I mean? Print provider, right? All those things. It's a learning. It's a business event for me. And as far as Uncle Sam is concerned, but what I'm saying is for the bigger guys, it's probably gonna make a lot less sense, especially as it shifts more towards a fan event. And I think that's why
you're right about
and
that.
That's fine, and it's important. And I hope they do something in New York, just like, you know. What if there was an East Coast? I honestly, and that's where it started, right? It started it honestly started in Atlanta. Like, you know, what happened to, you know, various different locations. The fact that it's been squarely in LA for as long as it does, maybe that doesn't lend well to its economics as well. And if you're trying to get people back, maybe be a bit more dynamic in where you host these events, you know.
Isn't the PAX East in, where is that, New York?
Yeah. PAX as an entity has been all over, but those are very much fan events, you know. And PAX, I don't know, maybe you guys can correct me, but PAX has never hit as hard as E3 at its height. You know, PAX has always been a great fan event for the people who tend to go, and it's all about the fans at that point. You know, but you may or may not ever see those really crazy, you know, experiment games and things that it's more about everything. So you get more tabletop, you get many other avenues at PAX rather than game focused. You know what I mean?
I guess I'm just kind of spoiled down here in Texas because we get QuakeCon.
Yeah.
QuakeCon's a lot of fun. It's not like the biggest show for announcements or anything,
but it's awesome. You've been to QuakeCon?
Oh yeah. I go. Well, I guess not the last couple of years because
COVID and all that. Yep. Okay.
I went probably like the 5 years before that. So
awesome. That's great. Yeah. We need to be more getting in there with the community and chatting it up and all of that. I think more of that would be good. But okay, let us move on. I want to talk one more PlayStation story, then we'll devolve into some OnTheReel stuff real quick here. But let us talk about this rumored speculation, this whole thing. And please, we want to be respectful of your time. If you're reaching the end of your time, please just say the word, and we'll make sure we bow you out.
I should be good for a little bit.
Okay.
Probably like another 30 minutes.
Okay, so no worries. We'll crank a few of these out real quick before you have to go. Ooh. There's the idea, and you know, shout out to Tom Henderson from Inside Gaming. There's the idea that the PS5 Pro is in active development right now, and there's even a window of release that has been set by Sony. I don't know how I feel about this, but let me go to you first, Mr. McGee. What's going down?
If I had to guess, And this is, I have zero inside information on literally anything. I know nothing about anything.
Yeah.
Talking to you, Sloth. I would have to say, I think this might be like their original plans. I would be genuinely surprised if they were like, hey, we're finally able to get the PS5 on shelves. Let's immediately launch a more powerful SKU and have to completely redo the things that we do. Like, that seems like a really foolish move. I guess it's not impossible. But the other aspect of it is, I don't know that we need a mid-gen refresh right now. You know, we haven't even really gotten to the point where we're taking really any advantage of the power in the boxes that we have currently. I don't think throwing a little bit more power on top of it is going to help much. Plus the fact that people are already saying like, oh, I don't think that there was much of a jump between the PS4 and the PS5. And it's like, I mean, there was, but you know, if people aren't seeing that change between 4 and 5, they're not going to see it between 5 and 5S or whatever. So I don't know that it's necessary. I also feel like this console generation is going to be longer than people are anticipating. I think because of the introduction of COVID and all that stuff, I think that's going to stretch it out a little bit, just because everything is, especially with inflation, everything is so much more expensive that I don't necessarily think that Sony or Microsoft or anybody, I mean, hopefully Nintendo, because they're a little bit behind on the curve. But
they're the only ones that I think need it.
But I don't think anybody is going to be like jumping at the idea of like, let's start a whole new manufacturing line and like put out a whole new system, right? I would not expect that from anybody. I think is it still a rumor, or has it been confirmed at this point, the like separate disk drive that's going to be,
it's still a rumor, also by Tom Henderson. Basically, the idea, for those who didn't catch that, the idea that the slim, the one with the disk will give way to only the slim, and then you'd get a separate attachable via USB-C disk drive if you wanted it.
I could see that happening.
Which, let me be clear here, I kind of wish that they'd done that in the Series S world, because there are people who went to the Series S from their old school console and their discs are now useless because of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was, even though it's it harkens back to the days of accessory attachments that we don't really want to get back to, it did seem to fulfill a need. EverbornSaga, what is your thoughts on this, sir?
Okay, several thoughts. Please, whether it's Sony or it's Microsoft, do not bring the days of the DVD.
Hey, I still have mine.
Don't need it.
I still have mine.
Nobody wants it. Physical sales are dying. The fact that people want to bring a disc into things is, in my opinion, patently ridiculous. That being said,
I mean, you're right. I like me some physical stuff. I need me my physical books. I need me my physical games.
I see that portal statue down there, sir. I appreciate you, sir. It's fantastic, man. We need some of them forever physicals over here. You know.
So, comics, I have to do physical. I cannot do digital.
I gotta do physical, and I need hardcover. I can't do individual issues anymore. I think I've evolved past it.
Well, I usually what I read in the comic world now are usually like trades, so they'll be like combined together. So I don't need hardcover, but like I need like an arc. If I'm not like, I don't do the 24-page thing anymore. I also only really read indie these days, like so I don't read the superheroes much unless there's like a new Hulk arc or something like that. Listen, don't get me started.
We don't want to get you started. We don't have enough time on a day for that.
No. Anyway,
wait, is there Hulk slander coming?
No. There's not Hulk slander. It's the idea that the only thing he will go harder for than Sonic is the Hulk.
Oh,
the only thing this man will go harder for than Sonic is the Hulk, and it's hilarious to hear him fall off that bridge, throw the parachute on the other side, and just keep flying. He'll just keep going. Please, we don't have enough time.
About the Hulk, that's how the MCU.
Oh, here we go. No, continue.
I just love how the best Hulk storyline is the one where everyone else in the MCU said we don't want to deal with him anymore and launched him into space.
So,
don't do it. Oh, here we go.
No, we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it right now.
I'm sorry.
All right. So, but
he's got 30 minutes. Come on, let's go.
Yes, that would be another hour-long conversation.
Yes, it would.
I'm glad to come back.
Yeah, great.
The thing is, they plan these things 5 and 6 years out.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, which means if they were doing this, they would have planned it before the world.
So my question is this old news that Tom Henderson is now catching, or are they continuing down that path?
Well, it could go either way, right? Because the other aspect of it is, why not sell it to you? They sold you a $500 VR headset. Who's to say, right? So
actually, $600 if you add all the accessories and blah blah blah.
I'm sorry,
more expensive than the actual console, which is
people would absolutely buy it. It doesn't matter if it's needed.
Yeah.
Right. It is a way to goose the console numbers.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. Whether it's needed or it isn't, why not sell it? Listen, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Generations are over. There's
they're
no
dead.
More generations.
Yeah, they've been dead for a minute.
Everything is going to carry forward.
Yep.
All your software is going to go with you.
Yep.
Console is moving closer and closer to PC, and we will probably get to a point where they let you change your video card and memory and things at some point.
At some point,
right?
Yeah.
So before we get to there, they'll sell you another box, and we will buy it, just like people buy a new 30s. They'll buy the 30 series after they had the 2080 for a year. Right?
And they're showing
3080's garbage. And
they're showing me all the things the 4090s do with frame generation. And I actually tweeted something that caught a bit of static, a bit of Twitter fire this week. Me throwing the idea of us 3080 owners throwing our 3080 cards in the garbage because they don't even talk about it anymore. All they talk about is frame generation and how great it is and how we can't get any of that.
Like, what? Hype up the 2 games that take any level of advantage of the 40 series cards.
Yeah.
Maybe in a couple years when they actually become a thing that people widespread use.
Yeah. Cool. No, I hear you. I hear you.
And again, so I think we're going to see the same thing with consoles, right? Because your library is going to go with you.
Yep.
It's going to be, effectively the same thing, but with a hardware boost. So I say, why not?
So speaking of that hardware boost, like take it from some of us who spend the time looking through this stuff. Unless they can really show you the difference, and they will try because the marketing managers, the marketing beasts are really, really, really high. Don't take it for what they throw at you because the boost in performance will not be worth the extra $400 or $500 you'll be paying. It just won't be unless we're talking the Switch. The Switch, they got like hills to climb, but the PS5.
But I'll also say if the next Switch comes out and I can't put my current Switch cartridges into it, then I'll be livid.
That's another thing. There's rumor and speculation that it may be a digital only thing. Who knows? But that's another question.
To digitize my stuff.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question. How well did the PS4 Pro do?
I don't know.
Not as good as we think. Like I did hear it didn't it wasn't like a wash for them, but I don't think it burned it burned the world down as far as sales because base PS4 is still the huge metric. PS4 Pro is barely in the conversation.
Well, my question is because I think a lot of the times those numbers get conflated. So we say that there was 100 and whatever PlayStation sales, which is true.
But that may be pro and standard. Yeah.
Especially since people from a certain website don't want to count 150 million. So why don't we have that conversation as it relates to how many actual users there are?
So let me read 2 super chats because one relates to exactly what we're talking about here. First off, we had Red Tree from the Game Pass Daily Show, which great community member. Does a lot of really interesting stuff in this community. If you haven't checked out his stuff, you definitely should. He comes here with a $2 super chat. Thank you, good sir. He says, great show, gents. Love the discourse. Keep it up. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support. And here's the question that I want to bring to the panel as well.
First of all, before you ask that question, shout out to Slow-Mo Backslap. I don't know.
Oh, Slow-Mo's in here. Yes. He just yes. We love the slanderous takes from the man Slow-Mo. He was, and again, cheap plug. He was with me on the show talking about the old Steam Deck. Very interesting conversation we had. If you haven't checked it out, it was in the feed. It came out. It premiered on Thursday, so you want to go check that out. We had a great conversation there. JD Gamer with another $2 super chat. Thank you, JD, for supporting us. He says, does the panel want to speculate on PS4 Pro specs? This is the thing.
Yeah, I don't even know.
At the price point you want to keep it, there is no way that you're going to be able to show me a substantial bump from the PS5 proper right now. Like substantial to the point where you go, oh, okay, well, it's worth
that SSD. Apparently, it's made from like Stardust or something.
Well, I guess, I mean, can they add, more? I don't even know what this.
They can add more RAM. It won't matter. Like they can add more. They can add more cores. Well, see, that's the funny thing, right? PlayStation does software-based ray tracing. So yes, there's ray tracing, but it's software-based, meaning the more RAM they add, the more components they add, it then offloads that hit to performance. So maybe that's why they want to do ray tracing. Xbox does hardware-based ray tracing, but you'd never know it because the platform leader does software. So what tends to happen is they make the software-based ray tracing and carry it over to the Xbox side, which you never get the benefits of the Xbox's hardware version.
I think what the question would be is what advances has AMD made?
Yes,
to their hardware, and if they have some new software that takes advantage of some.
And let's be clear here: their last really good release that's showing what they can do to compete against Sony, to compete against Nvidia. As long as you don't turn RT on, they are leaps and bounds. They're doing great things. But the moment you turn RT on, they are like preschool compared to what Nvidia has been doing.
DLSS?
And their FSR 2.0 has come a long way, but because their FSR does not use actual hardware components on the GPU, it never shines as bright as Nvidia's DLSS, because DLSS actually uses components on the hardware to accelerate it, and it offsets that so that you don't have to necessarily worry about hitting your performance of your other resources. So it's like they're always behind the 8 ball. Where it should matter, which is like normal average performance and rasterized performance, they're doing great at a cheaper cost than NVIDIA, which is great. But since ray tracing is the feature du jour, which take that as you will. I know some people say it's just marketing, but when they do it right, it looks great. In that world, they're far behind, and they continue to be far behind. So unless PlayStation is moving to Nvidia, which they definitely are not, don't foresee like leaps and bounds in the world of ray tracing.
If the goal is just to get people to double up and buy a second PlayStation, like if that's the marketing goal behind doing the PS4 Pro, I think they would genuinely just be better served doing a special edition console for like Spider-Man. I think we see that way more likely than we see a PS4.
But I guess my thing is this, right? When we say we don't see room for improvement, like we see how much better in many cases performance is and resolution is on PC, so you could always throw more hardware at
but the difference is on PC you want that so you can brute force whatever differences are available in the market.
Or something into running a lock 60
because on console you have to specifically profile for it. And just like the problems that the Xbox are facing right now, no matter how much hardware you throw at it, unless you then tell your developers to go in and unlock the speed for every single title you've already released, it's not worth it for them to go back in and do that. Whereas on my PC, if I throw a 3090 card in there right now, I get the benefits of that because you just can. On console, you then must tell every single developer that has ever developed for your hardware.
Every single developer will do it for Sony. You know this. Stop it.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You don't see it every day. They will do it. It's the market leader.
But look, even in this world right now, why do you think not every game on PS5 looks like The Last of Us Part 2? Because even on the PS5, the market leader, they are shaving corners just to make it look great for everybody. They're not using the hardware to its fullest capabilities, because if you go too far in the direction of left, which would be Sony, then you can't go in the direction of the right, which would be Xbox. So they keep it center and nobody gets the real benefits. That's why we always depend on the first party to go hard and show us exactly what this thing can do. And no matter how much hardware you throw at it, unless it's hardware that's mimicking the other guy so that both of them can shine, you'll never get the full use case of it, because they'll always just stay dead center so that everybody can kind of feel like they're playing the same game.
It's just weird to me that all of the people that said, 12 teraflops versus 10, a variable rate, whatever, I don't know how we could improve the PlayStation, right? maybe
the only time those matter is first party.
And more, what do you call it? Like, you know,
it only matters in first party. And how many first party representatives do we get? We don't, like, people out here playing COD mostly, right? And in that, and even COD might be first party soon. You know what I'm saying?
It'll be first party, but it's still gonna be cross platform. So I don't know.
You know, like, so to the point of the PS5 Pro, if we see a PS5 Pro and then we see like Ghost of Tsushima 2, yeah, you're gonna see them go crazy with that because they can. But in the third party world where they have to account for all these various things plus PC, you won't see that. You just can't, right? You just can't, because then they'll be spending too much money like working on the custom, the Vulkan customs on PlayStation versus the DirectX's on Xbox. Like, they don't do that. They just don't. Monetarily, it's not worth their time.
Did you see no material difference between the 1X and the 1S? There was no difference.
No, there's definitely a difference, but that's because again, they're not spending the time using the compression ratios and all of that to offset the memory issues. They're just building it in the middle and hoping for the best. That's why some of them look muddy.
Before this gen, did you not see a difference between the 1S and the 1X?
Sure you did. Yes.
Why is that?
But that's because they really separated the GPUs on the 1S and the 1X.
Okay,
one was
so
seriously meant for
that happen with the PS5 Pro.
So it could. I think that maybe the place that we're sort of separate, because I think we do agree on a lot of the points here. I think that the thing that we're not saying that there's no room for improvement. We're saying that the room for improvement that's there might not be worth
the money that you're spending. Exactly. There could be really great improvement, right? There could be great improvement, but in a world where they're trying to appease all of the various taskmasters, right? They're not solely. This is not Insomniac just building for the PS5. This is not a company building for just one hardware and trying their best to make just that one hardware shine. In a world where you're trying to appease all the various platforms, there is no world where you will see them give you that substantial bump that makes you go, damn, it was worth the upgrade. Because all the others
saying that the Series S is holding back other things.
No, I'm saying that PC is holding. I'm saying that PC is holding back. That's what I'm saying. PC is holding because people are still on spinning discs, right? Okay. And you're going to still build on PC, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
developers can profile for the Series X and the Series S. They can profile for PS5.
Not PS5. Everything can be profiled for. Like, you're talking, when we talk profile, we're talking scaling of graphic resolution. Yes, that can be profiled for. But if you're talking like AI generation, you're talking about, games like Bethesda games where you can literally track an NPC and go watch him go to work, watch him go home, watch him play with his kids, all of this. You can't do that. Scale it on CPU. The best you can do on CPU is, this has 15 people in the room versus 12 people in the room. You can't scale for intelligent AI like that. And because of that, they always hark to the lowest common denominator. That's why you don't see the Star Citizens of the world shining bright on console.
I understand because that game doesn't exist also. But
that's still vaporware still.
we don't have any, and I'm not. I want to be very clear. I have no smoke for the Series S. Right?
Yeah.
Everything you're saying points to why people have issues with the Series S, and you won't acknowledge that, but you will say that there's no reason to make.
No, look. If there are no PCs as part of this conversation, then we can talk about last gen, or we can talk about the weakest link, or hardware wise, or whatever. But PC exists. And Steam is huge. It sells more than anything. And because of that, they always have to account for the lowest common denominator. And you can only scale certain things. Some things cannot be scaled. You just can't. Either it can do it or it can't. Yeah. And because of that, they just leave it out of everybody else. Right? That's just the world we live in.
I think we're getting lost in the weeds here.
Ultimately, maybe a little bit.
We are talking about the PS5 Pro.
Sure.
And whether there's a reason for it to exist.
Oh, it exists because people will buy it. Sure.
Explain your argument to me like I'm an idiot.
Oh, stop it.
Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
I'm explaining it to you like you're a game developer, because that's what you are.
Why or why not should they make the PS5 Pro?
Okay. I think they should make the PS5 Pro because people will buy it. But unlike say this, well, hold on. But
go ahead.
Unlike the PSVR 1, which they really shot low, right? And now you can see that huge uplift. You can go, whoa! If you're a PSVR 1 user, man, you need to upgrade immediately, right? You can definitely say that because they've upgraded in a substantial way, right? You won't get that return on investment the same way in the PS5 world because first and foremost, the console market took a hit with COVID, right? It slowed everything down. So the forward momentum of hardware and its optimization and chips and all of that hasn't gone substantive in a direction where if you see a new generation, you'll see that big of a bump. And the bump that you will see will be nominal as far as frame rates and whatnot. Some people will appreciate it, but it's not worth the extra $100 you're going to pay because, again, it'll just be the difference between, that game that used to be unlocked frame rate before ran at 45, now it can run at 60. Great. Yeah. But you want that huge bump? I don't know you'll see that.
See, I think that's a flaw in what you're thinking, right? Okay. Because, and we'll move on after this.
Yes, sure. And I have super chats to read. Yes.
A little bit, but it's a Pro. It's not the PS6.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
The reason you get the Pro is specifically because you want the Lock 60, right?
Okay.
It is. So, and there are certain people that will get it, and we're only 2.5 years into the generation. So a lot of people have not gotten their PlayStation.
I feel like the PS5 Pro talk is just solely for winning that power narrative that they're kind of wishy-washy on with Xbox right now. I feel like it just lives in that world. Because you won't get much more than winning the power narrative.
Where we come back to sort of what my view on it was, which is I think that we should do a PS5 Pro, just not yet.
Yeah, okay.
I think the fact that the PS5 is just now becoming a thing that people can get right now, like I think
2027,
it's
2026,
not a good idea to add this whole new SKU onto your manufacturing process when people are just now finally being able to buy it. Like, you will get a small jump. Like you said, it's not going to be a generational thing.
No, it's not going to be a
leap.
I
don't even know necessarily if it's going to be the situation where like all these games are now locked 60. Just because I feel like also if you're going to do that, then the console is going to end up being like prohibitively more expensive. Like I think we're already sort of bumping up against the price gap.
The reason why people still love that $400 to $500 price is because after they iterate on that same thing over and over and over and over again, 5-6 years down the line, then you can iterate on the next gen and it still stays within that cost, right? Right now, PS5s are still worth their price. This is not 6 years down the line, right? So if they're throwing more hardware in, it's worth more. Exactly. So if you're throwing more hardware in right now, what are you trying to say? I get it. Maybe, and this is me spitballing right here. This is the tinfoil hat thing. Maybe they were down. They heard EverbornSaga saying it's absolutely ridiculous to pay for an accessory that's more expensive than the base console. So now they're making a PS5 Pro that's more expensive than the PSVR 2. So you can go see.
Absolutely picture a PS5 Pro for $699.
Yeah, because it would have to be in order for it to be And
I could absolutely see
people buying it.
A certain segment of the fan base, like, this is totally fine. I can totally
level with me, Everborn. Is this a pitch for you to get more of those charge them more shirts off the ground?
Sure. And you'll like this there, Daniel McGee. I can tell some as the man Infinite Number says. I can tell some of our hooved brothers would be all about it. For sure. Let me catch up on some of the super chats real quick. Let me catch up because they're building up.
Because specifically those people will buy it.
Because some people will buy it. I understand. Our Hoove brothers will absolutely support it, he says. I love it when he says that. It's hilarious. Max City Entertainment in here with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for being here, sir. He says, Game Pass is still godly in 2023. Let's get it. Brother, I completely agree with you. I'm still getting more and more value in that thing. It's really, really great. So, and we have Jacob Novik back again with another 50 krona, that's Swedish krona. I'm learning more as we go along with the currencies. Thank you, sir. He says, if we get pro consoles, I don't know what they can improve besides getting a sticker design and stuff like the like 2 Seagate drive slots on the back of the Xbox. 2 of them? That would be terrible, bro. That'd be terrible. Then you got to pay twice the price for that really expensive thing. Like, it's terrible. All right. And I also see JD Gamer in here again with another $5 super chat. Thank you so much for being here and all your continued support. He says AMD now owns, like, I can't pronounce that. Help me pronounce that. XILI Xilinx?
Is it Linux? Like
Linux
with an X at the front?
Yeah, it's like Linux with an X in front of it. So you can expect them to incorporate more hardware acceleration beyond what Nvidia is capable of doing, at least in terms of cost. I hope so, man. I am one. I used to roll with Nvidia systems all the way through. I was an ATI guy before they bought AMD. I like that competition, and it just seems like Nvidia is taking over the world when it comes to this space. So I want AMD to compete with their APUs and whatnot. So I, for one, hope they get closer and closer. Then we have Dave Ramos with a $5 super chat. Thank you guys so much. He says, the biggest vote, in my opinion, against the mid-gen Pro versions is that devs still are not using the features and memory management of DirectX like SFS. Absolutely. This is the point I'm trying to make, right? They're not using the existing features to their fullest capability. So why add more capabilities that they won't end up using? It'll just cost you more money, and maybe your frames will go up 2-3%. Whoop-de-doo. You know, that's the unfortunate nature of it right now. JD again with the $5 super chat. You guys are too much this morning. Thank you so much. Saying, what happens if Microsoft buys Crytek and incorporates the software-based ray tracing, and then position it as a wraparound for any game while accelerating hardware? Bro, that's an interesting world we live in. They have been able to use AI generation to think about to actually accelerate HDR in a very interesting way. Not obviously the developer authorized the developer authored HDR is always better than what the Series X one can do. But in a world where they can just go, hey, we can just put RT in the game, and for those who think that's not possible, on PC right now you can do exactly that. You can play all of Halo, like Halo 1, with crazy RT because you have the overhead, and you can there are tools that scan the game and put ray tracing in strategically for you. It can be done because PC has the overhead. Consoles can't do that right now. Imagine if they start doing that properly. That would be super interesting. Super interesting. And we have the man, John Wolf, in here. He was also on our Steam Deck show. Shout out to you, good sir. He says, with a $5 super chat, he says, great show as always, gentlemen. Bringing me joy to see the channel grow and doing so well. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy those Steam sales. Oh, I got to go crack open the wallet soon. I got to go crack open the wallet. I've already bought a few things, just a few things, not too much. But yes, I'm enjoying my Steam sale. And not to be outdone, Slow-Mo Backslap saying, oh, hold on, let me put it in here. Yes, oh, I missed it. There he goes. He's saying, better ray tracing than you can get in Halo Infinite. Absolutely. Like, absolutely. You can see, like, there are dudes, there's a specific channel, like a German channel that does it, where they have a tool set that once you add a few special ionizer, yes, we're talking PC talk, yes. You put a few ionizer in the back and you load up, like, OG Combat Evolved. It looks better than any ray trace game you've ever seen. Like, it's just awesome what you can do on PC. PCMR talk. I'm sorry.
So speaking of that, do you want to do that quick GPT demo that we talked about earlier?
I cannot do that right now because it would only we're using OBS right now, and I can't present it on the screen on StreamYard. It won't work. You should have sent it to me.
Okay.
Yes, but we should talk about that. But I know Daniel might be like, how much time we got left, sir?
Just a little bit. I think maybe another 15-ish minutes. I think we got like one more topic maybe.
Sure. So before we get and there's always an ABK block. There's always an ABK block around here, but I'll leave that one to the end. I kind of want to stop for a moment and do some OnTheReel chatter. What do you think? And this is more.
Talk about that Last of Us show.
Yes, I want to stop for a moment and I want to talk. And I'm sorry if you guys are here. You've probably seen The Last of Us, and if you haven't seen The Last of Us, you played the game, man. You know what happens in there. But we waited.
We were worried about spoilers
yes.
for the show, but you've played the game.
You've played the game.
It's the same.
Yes. We waited for the end of the season to have a conversation about this. And shout out to Mooch and Mooch the TV. He was chronicling it week by week. He had me on a couple of times. Great show, talking with a bunch of different members of the community. So if you haven't seen his breakdown of the week by week, I suggest you go do that. But I wanted to have a conversation, have a proper OnTheReel chat with Everborn, with Daniel McGee about this season, about what we saw, what was the same, what was different, what do we like. And after this, towards the end, we will talk about rumor and speculation for season 2 and who we think should play certain characters. We're going to get into that one real quick. But off the top, I'll start with you, Daniel. Did you watch all of season 1, and what were your thoughts by the end?
I really like it. I think where I'm coming down on it is I think it's very good, but not quite great, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Which, I don't know. I'm sure even saying that will already have people getting on me.
Oh, the pitchforks are already out. Go ahead. I see the comments getting written as we speak.
Go for it. Hit me up. Because I really, really like the show, but I feel like there were some things that they fumbled that I wish they hadn't. I don't know.
Speak on it.
Want to go
you can go ahead. It's all fair game here, folks. You are a gaming topic. You are a gaming audience. You've played the game. You know what we're talking about. Go ahead.
So let me start with the positives then. I think the first 3 episodes are pretty much perfect. I think that they're beautiful. I think they're gorgeous. I think a lot of the performances are absolutely amazing. Pedro Pascal does a great job. Is it Diego Luna who's Tommy?
Diego Luna is his brother. Yep.
Bella Ramsey is also good, not
wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
Diego Luna plays
his brother.
Tommy?
Yeah. You didn't know that? Yeah.
Diego
Seriously?
Luna from Andor.
Oh, no. That's not Diego Luna.
Though. Who's the
no,
guy
it's
who
not
plays
Diego Luna. You know what? Let me IMDb it real quick before we misspeak. His last name is Luna.
Maybe I got the Andor actors wrong, but I thought that was the Andor actor.
His last name is definitely Luna, but we'll keep talking. I'll find it.
Anyway, well, whoever he is, he does a great job. I wish I knew his name. But then Bella Ramsey is also good to find. She's not bad. Yeah, she's not bad at all. I think that the problem is that you stood her sticker next to Pedro Pascal, and she's still pretty new at this, and it's like, oh, Gabriel Luna.
Yes.
Yeah,
Gabriel Luna.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's like what?
I was really thinking is I just really like Andor.
I was like, he really transformed himself.
He's a completely different guy, it turns out.
And Gabriel Luna, for those who don't know, played what did he play? He played dang it, Marvel character. Fire, Skull, Flames. Come on.
Dormammu?
No.
Sorry, you're talking about Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, yes. He played Ghost Rider in the TV show. Yes, he was. Wow. But continue, yes.
Bella Ramsey is also fine. I think that she's going to become great. As she is right now, I feel like there were a couple of times where, specifically in more emotional scenes, it felt like she was being very conscious about the way she was saying things, and I don't know if that's because she does have such a heavy accent normally. And so I feel like in those scenes,
it was definitely noticeable that she was.
Yeah, it felt like she was being very conscious of the way she was saying things instead of just being in the moment and feeling it. I know that's such a nitpicky thing, but when the show, the show was genuinely good enough to the point where those are the kind of complaints that I end up having with it. It's things like that. I think the pacing is a mess, especially when we get down into the later half. I think there's 2 episodes in particular that really stand out as being not necessarily out of place, but maybe not the best choice considering we only had 9 episodes. And that's the Bill episode, which I love, episode 3. And the Left Behind episode, the DLC episode, both of which are very good episodes. I think Left Behind maybe a little bit less so. It just felt very slow to me, but whatever. It's weird to me when you're adapting a 16-hour game into a 9-hour show. It's weird for me to take one of those hours and dedicate it to the guy who they get the car from. You know what I mean? And that ended up being a really good episode. Don't get me wrong, I love that episode, but I think that the result of that
this is why you and Umbra are going to be a team and going to have a show, because he loved that episode but thought that was filler. He thought it was filler. And he and I have had that conversation. So there you go.
it's that situation where it's a very good episode, but the result is we get to the last couple episodes and it feels like we're just kind of there he is. It feels like we're just kind of rushing through it as fast as possible. Like the David stuff and the stuff at the end with the hospital and all that felt like we just blew through that super fast. And
how much
maybe
of that
also
feel
part
like
of that
is a result of the pandemic?
It's also possible. I will say, I think they also do not a great job of explaining why, like the choice that Joel, I don't know how spoiler you want to get, the choice that Joel makes at the end. In the game, I think they do a better job of explaining why it's supposed to be like this morally ambiguous thing, whereas in the show, I mean, in both, I think he for sure makes the right choice, and I don't really understand the debate as to how you could argue that it wasn't.
It's people who don't have kids. That's
I guess. I mean, I don't have kids, but
so you have empathy.
I guess so. For me, it's actually more or less. How spoiler do we want to get? Just for sure, are we?
No, go ahead.
Speak on it, man.
So
we're in a gaming audience.
10 years into this story. If you don't know what happens by now,
fair enough. So at the end, he has to make this. Well, I get it's not really even posed as a choice, but the option is he can either let the Fireflies kill Ellie by effectively scooping out her brain, in order to make a cure, to maybe make a cure for the cordyceps virus or whatever. Or kill all of them and save her, right? And it is this situation where immediately on an emotional, empathetic level, you already understand why he's doing what he's doing. But then you really think about it and you're like, okay, first of all, who are the Fireflies? Why are we thinking that they can actually do this? Because throughout both the game and the show, I think both do a really poor job of explaining why anyone should believe that they are capable of doing this. Especially in the show where we see they are incapable of walking a girl across the country. They are incapable of meeting meeting the guy at the Capitol building. That we never see them accomplish anything. And so the only thing that we know about the Fireflies is that they are a poorly led, frankly, terrorist organization that
also, how do you let one guy kill all of these?
And by the way, you're in a world where once he gives you a baggie full of drugs, he has to take the baggie back because you can't even get a damn baggie in this world. And you think you're going to reproduce drugs? Like, what are we doing?
And so that leads to the question of how are they going to mass produce this? How are they going to distribute it? Are they going to distribute it fairly, or is it going to become like a recruitment tactic? Is it going to be a situation where they use it to grow their own power of their own base? Are the Fireflies the kind of people that we want to have more power? Also, especially in the show where there's not spores and it seems like the zombies kind of just chill between they're not, it doesn't seem like they're really wandering around. They're just kind of chilling and going underground, and in some cases literally just laying out in the sun, just waiting for somebody to step on a tentacle so that they know where they are. How many of the world's problems are even going to actually be solved by having a cure? It's not like you're gonna hey guys, ding dong, the witch is dead, we made the cure, everyone go back to work.
Go back to work.
You're not going to stop raiders, you're not going to stop slavers or the infected who already exist. You're not going to stop them from tearing people apart. I mean, there's that one guy who got his head ripped off by a bloater. I don't think him being immune to it was going to stop that from happening. So it's like even in the situation where we believe that the Fireflies are capable of making a cure, are they the kind of people that we want to be in charge of a cure?
Of making the cure,
also, is one child's brain going to be enough to make enough cure for all
the entire world?
If you can, resynthesize it, or is it going to lead to a situation where we have to create a weird child brain farm? You know what I mean?
I love where you're going with all.
Right, but here's the problem with all of this, right? If you listen to the explanation of why she's immune, it's that it's in her blood and her blood cells know how to fight this thing off. Why do they need to go to her brain?
Well, no.
The cordyceps grows in them.
Yeah, but remember, so when they started, even though I don't agree, when they started that last episode with Ashley Johnson, shout out to Ashley Johnson, putting her in the last was
so great that they had her.
Chef's kiss.
She's such a good actor.
She's a brilliant actress. Yes. So what she showed is she lied to Marlene, saying that she cut the umbilical cord after she cut the umbilical cord before she was bit. No, she cut the umbilical cord after she was bit. So the idea is right at that moment, the the disease infested the child as well, but because she's so young and developing, that it works in fusion with her, building in her brain so that she can continue to live on while it's developed with her, rather than it infecting her cells as it normally does normal people. That was the yada 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 they were trying to get away with. I heard that, but I don't buy it. Like, yeah. And she's unique in that she's the only one that has that, because she happened to have been bitten right at the time of birth. So it developed, her brain developed at the same time the cordyceps were developing at the same time. It's a unique, like, freaking, like, it's like thunder striking a tree in the woods somewhere. Never happen again kind of a situation. You know, how are you going to recreate that? How can someone go into a lab and just think about it? Lab, really? You can't get baggies. You're going to go find a lab to really, like, I'm sorry. So, yes, it's a no choice in my humble opinion. Yeah. But it does make for very interesting debate, because some people are just like, how can you be so cruel? You could save the world.
It's like, yeah, maybe, but probably not. But yeah, to get back to the actual show, I think the show is very good. It's just, I think the pacing needed maybe a second rendition. I think, especially if we're looking at this becoming like a franchise show, which I think it is. I mean, they've already renewed it for a season 2. Yeah. I think doing the entire first game, when games take like 6 years to make now, in one season, is maybe not a great choice, especially if that season is only 9 episodes.
And we're going to talk about season 2, where they make different changes, but different decisions there, sir. Yes. Hopefully, yes. We're talking rumor speculation.
Maybe you could have stretched some of those things out into 2 seasons for the first game or something. Maybe, we have a lot of time jumps in there where we could have added some other things in there.
Wade Johnson's take here is so apt. Ellie is the new Blade vampire hunter, because that's exactly how they created Blade, exactly the same way. He's the Daywalker, the same exact scenario created Blade. I didn't think of that. What a take. Very good. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Okay. Yeah. But no, I do hear you on the, like, if you really spend any amount of time really thinking about it, it just falls flat. Like, the plot holes are huge.
So I do think that we have to give the show the latitude to kind of fudge the science, just to drive the point home, because it's not, this is not a virality class. It's I don't even know if that's a word, but, or if I'm using it in the right way. But so whatever, if that's the way the show says it works, that's the way it works.
Oh, real quick, Everborn, and I know you're talking, so I want to read this out, because they put it in the super chat form, and I need you to read it. I need you to hear it, but I don't want you to respond, because that'll take 50 years. JD Gamer with a $5 super chat saying, EverbornSaga, do you think the MCU version best represents the Hulk, or do you think the Hulk should be able to fly and is as OP, and is Superman too OP? 2-minute answer. Go.
The answer is no. It does not represent the Hulk well. Yeah. And no, it's not about whether the Hulk is too OP. Unlike Superman, where who is the biggest Mary Sue in all the comics.
He dropped enough slander. Go back to
Hulk. The whole point is that Hulk is a walking nuclear missile who.
Thank you, JD Gamer, for derailing us real quick. Continue with the Last of Us. Go ahead.
So the Last of Us. So again, I will give them that latitude on the science part of it, because this is I know it's a zombie show or whatever, not zombies, but it's effectively fantasy. You kind of have to go with it, right? We don't get mad at sci-fi movies with the fact that they figured out like time travel and warp speed.
Sure. Yeah.
We get mad at it in Endgame a little bit, because they use. He's like, give me the eigenvector on that, and then like, it's not God. Like, that's a real thing, and you like look at what's happening on the screen, and it's like, that's not what that is. They just picked a math word that they thought.
Right, and we're sciencing the science, right? Sciencey stuff. That's basically what I'm saying. So that's all fine. But in terms of the decision made, I'm not sacrificing someone I care about for a maybe.
Exactly.
Right. We can. I probably still wouldn't do it anyway, but we could at least have the discussion if it was a sure thing.
Yeah.
We don't know that, and no iteration of this has ever proved to me, not the game, not the show, that it was a sure thing that this would work. And people are saying, well, why didn't they he took that agency away from her. This is a teenager, and I don't know if you've raised teenagers, but they're kind of stupid, right? This is a teenager who is dealing with survivor's guilt, and you're going to ask her if she would like to sacrifice.
Yeah,
she's not in the right state of mind to answer that question.
There's a reason we don't let them drive and or like sign their own documents until they get a certain age. What comes out of their mouth is not to be trusted.
Formed yet as a teenager. So
I also want to point out, I forgot about this, but the opening of the first episode is two different doctors being like, "Yeah, you can't make a vaccine for a fungus."
Yeah,
like that's not a.
Yeah,
and it's in the first episode of the show. It's two separate doctors being like, "You can't
do it." Yeah.
Right. You can't. And the Fireflies have literally failed at everything they've done. Right? They can't even meet up at a LZ. Right?
Yeah.
The fact that Joel was able to kill everyone there tells me that they couldn't handle anything.
We are on team let the world burn. Hashtag. Let's go.
The world's already burned.
The word's already burned. Yeah. So
no,
whatever.
Don't let idiots run the world. How about we do that? So that being said, and the successful communities that they had come across, none of them were run by Fireflies. So I really don't want to hear about what the Fireflies could or could not have done. That being
Pixelbit G saying, but it's not a vaccine, it's a cure.
True. They changed that. Because in the game they said vaccine, but then
and then they said it's a cure.
Like, nah.
Oh, speaking of Joel,
and then he says Joel for president. Oh wait.
How about Rick means business Grimes for president?
Oh boy.
No context. And Rick wouldn't have went out with a
like a sucker. It wouldn't have been like it wouldn't have went out like a punk.
Back to what we're here to talk about. Shout out to Aaron in the chat, another person who recognizes the greatness of Ori. But the show to me almost felt like, first of all, I think it's the best live action, and that this needs to be classified.
Yeah.
It's the best live action adaptation of a video game.
Yes.
I think the best video game adaptation is still Arcane.
Oh, the man speaks truth. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then we have Edge Runners, and then to me we have Sonic 2. So
I'll even give you Sonic 2. I'll even give you Sonic, because Sonic was a very good representation of what that idea of the character was. Edge Runners, Arcane. If you haven't seen it,
Sonic. So again, I know we're talking about Last of Us. Sonic does not get the #1 slot because it should have been full CG like the Mario movie is going to be, and I think Mario is going to be the biggest earner this year. I think it's going to do $1 billion.
Sure, but that doesn't mean it's the best. It's got nostalgia cake built right into it. Like, get out of here with all that.
I hear you, but that's what the Sonic.
Even if it's terrible, it's going to make $1 billion. But continue, yes.
But it's not going to be terrible. Now, so back to Last of Us. It did almost feel like it was too faithful to the game in a way where I'm watching it, and this speaks to the pacing. It felt like almost like they were, and they did do great jobs in fleshing out some other pieces that we didn't get to see in the game. Yeah. But it felt like they were just sort of trying to recreate scenes within the game, as opposed to having a more...
I really think that is Neil Druckmann's influence in the writer's room, in the development process. Like, he insisted on certain scenes, insisted on certain parts. The giraffe, certain cuts, like the fire behind David when they're in that other scene. Like, some of them are literally paused and it's shot for shot, color accurate. Clothes they're wearing. Like, Hollywood would never take it that seriously, but Neil being there made them take it that seriously, for better and for worse. I honestly do think a lot of it's for better, but some of it went a little too far. Yes.
So John Wolf says it's good, but not Walking Dead good. I would say good,
I don't agree with that.
Not Walking Dead season 1 through 4 good.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So the rest of the Walking Dead seasons kind of mess it up for the first 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But anyway. I liked it. I'm excited for the next season, but I do see what you're saying with the pacing issues. And this is coming off of House of the Dragon, where every episode was like a jump of
was fire
15 years
yes.
or whatever.
So literal fire.
That was a really great show too, but
yes.
man, it was rough being like, at the end of this episode, these two people have announced that they might get married, and then at the start of literally the very next episode, they
have children.
Yeah. You're like, what happened?
So,
but okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know Daniel's at the end of his time here. Let's talk a bit more about the future real quick and get his take on it, and then we'll let Mr. McGee off and get to work. There's rumors, and I won't go too hard on the rumors. There's rumors of them splitting season 2 into two. Season 2 will be obviously The Last of Us Part 2, and it'll be 2 seasons, right? And we can ruminate about who we think and what we think will take place in that. But I have to ask you, sir, who do you think should play Ellie? I need to know.
Abby.
Abby, I'm sorry, Abby. Yes.
Whoever it is, it's going to have to be somebody who has star power, and I say that because
carry the show, because you don't know if Bella Ramsey can carry it by herself.
Because I don't agree. I specifically don't think that Bella Ramsey can carry a show. I don't think she's bad. I think she's very new, and I think she's. You
think she's green and she needs more time?
Green, and she's got some work that she needs to do. I like her. I think she's a wonderful person and will be a very good actress. I think just the amount of growth that we've seen her take between Game of Thrones and this is a huge jump. And so I think that she is on a really great trajectory. But if this is a season that's coming out, next year or even 2 years from now, whoever Abby is going to be critical. Because if Joel is going to meet
Tiger Woods,
meet Tiger Woods,
Tiger Woods, y'all,
like so early in the season.
I suspect it'll be and that's my hot take. I have no reason to think so. I think since they've already telegraphed that it'll be 2 seasons for the second game, you will see Joel meet Tiger Woods, y'all, at the end of season 2.
At the end of season 2, I hope so.
As a cliffhanger.
The penultimate episode.
I love Pedro Pascal. I think he's an amazing actor. I think he is able to do something that I really respect in actors, which is being able to keep it subtle. You know what I mean? I really respect when actors are able to show all of this emotion without going big, without just like exploding, right?
Okay.
And a lot of people get a lot of credit for being able to go, that extra mile, right? I think that's probably why Christian Bale is so popular, because he's just a lunatic, right? But he lacked that subtlety that I really love, right?
Really? Kristen Stewart? Really? I'm sorry. No. No, and the looks on her face, I'm just like, no.
But that subtlety, I really love that in Brendan Fraser's performance in The Whale had that. To go all the way back, like I think the first place I noticed it was with the Major in White Christmas. He does a great job. Like it's something that's very important, I think, for an actor. And if you're going to take somebody who is that good out of the show, then you need to find a replacement. I think this is a problem that I had, honestly, with the MCU, even where you took out, all these big name characters and you've been replacing them with people who just don't fill those shoes.
So I asked, I asked who would play Abby, and folks in the chat have been putting out things that they think. Right, Kristen Stewart. Right. I see Shannon Barry in here, which.
And I think that they've missed the mark.
But this is my vote for who should play Abby. Florence Pugh.
That. Yeah.
She has the body. She has the look. She's badass. We know it. She has the star power. Like Florence Pugh should be the one to play Abby. She would knock it out the park, and she's somewhat of the same age. You would believe that they're all within the same age range, because you could dumb her down just like you've dumbed down Bella Ramsey, who's 20 by the way, and she looks like she's 14. You could do it.
True.
But that's my vote. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. Like I said, I think my biggest concern going forward is I hope that they have, like you said, I hope that the second season still has Joel in it.
I'm sorry. The chat is getting wild right now. I see somebody say Dwayne Johnson is Abby.
Yeah, I saw that. man, I hope that they do either like a season that takes place between the two games because there's quite a big time jump there, or like you said, they somehow stretch out that opening section. I mean, they would have to add a bunch basically, and just have a second season that was not filler, but like just interstitial stuff between the two, and that would be great because, man, if we're rolling straight into Last of Us Part 2, that's rough to me because first of all, and they've kind of hinted at it a little bit more in the show than they do in the game, where Ellie in the show is very clearly like got some issues, like she's a violent child and she's got some real like pent up aggression that she
rage issues. Yes.
Yeah, because Last of Us Part 2, I did not like. I think it's probably a very well made game.
One of the best made games. But
it plays like a 20-hour character assassination of Joel and Ellie, a literal assassination of Joel and a character assassination of Ellie. And man, I hope that they fix that in the show. I don't think that they will because Neil Druckmann is very proud of what he did in that show in the second game.
Yes.
And I'm not the biggest fan of Neil Druckmann just because of some allegedlys that get thrown around with his name that I won't bring up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm perfectly fine with just taking this first season and being like, that was really good. And then if the second season ends up being a hot mess and they kill Joel in the first episode and Bella Ramsey can't carry the show and they, I don't know, make Kristen Stewart Abby or something.
Oh, no.
Just pretend it didn't happen and just enjoy the first season.
True. Okay. Mr. EverbornSaga, what do you think, man? Who should play Abby in season 2? What do you think?
So I just want to recap what Abby's character arc is. Father was killed, and she, had to reinvent herself because she was kind of defined by revenge. And she dedicated her life at that point to training and becoming a badass killer.
Go ahead, say what you say, and then
Wait,
I'll put
sorry, that was Arya Stark's.
And then I'll put slow-mo's chat in here, right here, saying Maisie Williams has the muscle tone of a toddler. So the answer is no. I knew you were going there.
He's also like 3'2", so I don't know.
So yeah, but Tom Cruise is shorter than that.
And a quick aside here. A quick aside, in many interviews, Maisie Williams has said as much as she loved that character, it took away from her femininity, so she wouldn't want by herself to do that character again because, like, if you think about it, it was a big part of her life. She was really, really young when that show started, right? And they kind of really dumbed her down and made her a boy for most of that thing. So she kind of has this love-hate relationship with Arya Stark. So to bring her back in as another masculine character, I don't think she'd go for it unless the bag was monstrous.
She's not really doing a lot.
I didn't think of that because whoever plays Abby is going to have really thick skin because no matter even if she does a great job, even if
people gonna hate on her
stories, whatever, there's going to be so much hate coming her way, whether deserved or not, and it's going to have to be somebody who has been through it and like can just let it roll off their back because it's going to hit them no matter what.
So the thing is, by the end of Game of Thrones, you totally believed that Maisie Williams was a stone cold killer.
For sure. But see the difference
in her eyes.
The difference though is Maisie Williams was a stone cold killer as Arya Stark, who you do not have a reference point for. So you can believe that. We're coming into this project with Abby, who a lot of folks have a reference point for. The muscles are on display. You know who should, you know what I mean?
A reference point for Tommy's wife. They completely changed that.
Okay.
Right?
And she did get a little bit of hate for that too.
We're getting so caught up on looks, and I'm saying the actress that I think can portray, because we have a reference
is Maisie Williams.
I think Maisie Williams can portray what the character arc.
I think Florence Pugh is a better option.
And
choice.
Seeing them on screen, and I do think that Maisie Williams can carry the show on her own, right?
But she's not. She doesn't have enough star power there. I don't know. Her only claim to fame is the show that they were on together. That's it.
Okay, but how did Joel start? Right.
Oh, but Joel has many credits to his name now.
Right.
No.
But my point is, his claim to fame was Game of Thrones, and then
that's not true. That's not true.
Do those big
he is even in, believe it or not, he is even in Buffy and the Vampire Slayer. Like, he's been at this for a long time. People know him.
His claim to fame, and he will tell you. And I don't know if you know this story about Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, he'll tell you that it is
acting coach.
Yes,
who his friend, one of his students, told him about an audition for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and that's what kicked it in.
Got the role that his student was supposed to.
Yeah.
So he like that is it.
Sure.
Game of Thrones was his breakout role.
Oh, I get
that.
I get
into
that.
all those other things.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, give Maisie Williams a shot. I think she can steal a scene, and I think her and Bella Ramsey on screen would work well together.
And everybody would remember the whole Game of Thrones thing, and that would also help push people forward. Okay.
And HBO likes to hire from within.
True they do. Okay. So I think we're most likely at the end of our time with Mr. Daniel McGee. I suspect, because we're right there. We had so much fun with you, sir. As you see, we can go on. We can keep going on. Like, this show could turn into we're trying real hard not to make it into a 5-hour epic, but yes, it could go on. But sir, we appreciate you being here. We're like, every time I hear you on Boom shows, I really appreciate your takes. You let it fly, and we appreciate that from you, sir. Even keeping it PG-13, you did real good work here. So thank you so much. Tell the people where else they can keep up with your stuff in case they didn't hear it from the top.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I've always been a pretty big fan of the show, so I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
Even if I did go a little bit over time, I probably shouldn't have, but I was just having too much fun. My boss will understand. He's
cool.
No, it's fine. It's entirely my fault. But yeah, if you guys want to keep up with me or whatever, you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McGee or on YouTube at just Daniel McGee. Over on my channel, I talk about reviews and news and video games, as well as a little bit in the comic book and pop culture world. I'm kind of bridging into that a little bit. I've been seeing good results, so I don't know if you want to see that. Hold on. We'll see what happens. I'm also rewriting the DCEU, which has been just a lot of fun and a lot of work. So I would really appreciate any support I can get on that.
Awesome. I'll put your YouTube channel and all the information that people can find you in the show notes when this posts.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
hope you can.
On the Xbox Factor podcast.
There better not be any version of Martha in your.
I mean, the character will exist. I'll say that.
I hope more people check out your stuff. I hope you and Umbra, I'm looking forward to seeing the fix. I'm excited for it. I've seen your opening intro for it. Spot on. Umbra doing good work there. Real good stuff. With, of course, the Wandering Dutch.
Who did that.
Yeah, with the Wandering Dutch. Really awesome stuff.
Umbra says, don't forget to plug Sunday's show.
Oh, yes.
Right. So tomorrow, me and Umbra are going to be on the Gamers Council podcast with Retri and Outbreak podcast, Web Dave. So I think we're gonna do a little bit more plugging for the fix there. But yeah, you can find me either there tomorrow or on Tuesday at the Xbox Factor podcast at 11 Eastern, or 11 Central, 12 Eastern, I think.
Okay.
Or on the fix whenever we start that. So I'm gonna hopefully be all over the place real soon.
And we are here for it because you are a great member of the community. You've been doing really good on Boom Show, and we want to see more from you, more of the hot takes, more of the Nintendo slander. I'm here for it. Yes, I enjoy the slander. This is real good. So no, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you another time. Hopefully, we'll get you on the show very soon. All right.
I would love it. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen. Before we transition out of here, let me get him. Let's transition to the 2-man shot. And we'll get him off. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. So, 2-man show now.
Don't have a lot of time. So.
Okay. Well, we'll quickly move into the block that we always tend to move into. I want to get some updates from you because I know there's a lot has happened here. But before we do that, what I did want to do though is real quickly. I know that folks wanted. I was talking about what do you call it? The show that's coming from Wandering Dutch and the community showcase coming in 2023. I wanted to show a bit of the trailer because he did real good work here, and I want folks to check it out. So I hope we get the audio comes in. Let me know if we're hearing it.
Living every day.
I don't hear it.
In your head for free.
I think the community will hear it. Chat, if you hear the audio, please let us know if you hear it. I think the audio is coming in.
Toxicity, your world outside reality. In your room, a little
Yep, they hear it.
but you let it through. Enough to go insane. Living in the dark hasn't treated you well. You're building your own prison cell. Hey, wait, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Did I brush you off? Is it your lack of friends? We never met. Even if you pretend, am I in your debt? I don't know you nothing. Don't say something you'll regret. Hey, wait, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Hate, rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it. I'm telling you, don't waste it. Lies telling you, don't waste it on me.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So that is the trailer for the Community Indie Showcase coming in 2023 from the man himself, the Wandering Dutch. There will be 2 opportunities to check it out on the April 22nd, and there will also be another one later down the line. I think he's shared some of the times, but it hasn't been officially added, and I'm sure there'll be another trailer for the next one as well. But I hope folks keep it on the radar. I hope folks are into it and check it out when the showcase actually becomes proper. It is awesome to see the man is out here putting in such hard work, but doing such great things in this community. So thank you so much. Continue checking out, keeping an eye on the showcase as it's coming. I hear there's some surprises in the works, and he's doing some great things there. So we here on this show will always show the due support that we need to. So shout out to you there, Dutch. I hope you're still watching.
I'll say it now. We are trying to get something from Everborn in there. We'll see.
There we go. There we go. So there you go. Right? Absolutely, absolutely. And Splendiferous in here. Ooh, let me get rid of this real quick. Splendiferous. Ooh, why is that? Oh yeah, of course, because obviously my things have to always be acting funky whenever I'm doing this. Actually, let's see. Can we show that? No, it's not showing it for some reason. That's so odd. Let me. Oh, that's why. Give me 1 second here, and we cut, and we can post it again. Splendiferous with a $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, "Great show, guys. Dutch does amazing work. Can't wait, bro. We can't wait either. I want the Dutchies to be a thing, man. The Keeleys aren't the only ones out here. The Dutchies need to get some respect too. So there you go. I appreciate it, and we want to see more of this happen. So, okay, Mr. Everborn, I don't know.
Hey, well, lead it for 1 second. I got to make a quick phone call.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I wanted to talk to folks real quick. We already discussed the whole thing with The Last of Us and all of that. So for those who didn't want to hear it, too bad. We got through that. I want to talk a bit about the idea of the Dutch. What do you think about the Dutch? What do you think about the of Microsoft handing out all of these potential, where is this? Yeah, a lot of all of these deals that are coming out in the cloud space and what people think about it. I've heard a lot of takes from it, and this will be our final story on the show. Heard a lot of takes about it, about people talking about, oh, it looks desperate. Oh, what are all these various streaming services that may or may not be the big streaming services of the day? Why is Microsoft handing it out everywhere? You know, I want to talk about that a bit and see what the people think. You know, if you're in the chat, you know, don't hesitate. Give me your thoughts. I want to see what you guys are thinking about that. Some of them are services that, frankly, I had never heard of before. You know, like Ubiquitous, I think is how you pronounce that. That's one. Ubiquitous
really,
is one. Yeah.
Okay, so
go ahead, Everborn. Yeah. What do you think?
Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think a lot of people's masks are off with this, and you know, I don't. So, where do I start on this? So, everyone that you know who actually cares about competition and who doesn't now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't, on the one hand, say, "Oh, I don't want, you know, we care about developers and we care about competition," but then the small players who actually you claim would need protection say that they're either in favor of the deal, and I know that's on the docket to talk about, like literally everyone, right, that answered, and you see smaller cloud providers who the whole issue of competition is, can new players come in the market?
Yeah.
And so new players get deals and access to this allegedly essential input, and then you're saying that doesn't matter. So what we're ultimately saying is we don't care about competition. We care about Sony being on top, and we don't want them being affected, right? Because you don't care about the smaller guy, right? It's just like these people that say, "Oh, I care about video games," and then every time you mention like an indie project, "Oh, that doesn't matter."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you care about competition. You care about new players being able to enter the market, or you don't. So just say you're cheerleading for one side of this to happen. When you say small cloud players don't matter,
and you got
writing this.
You got one of the great members of our community in the chat hitting you with big facts. Post up in the chat. What's going on, brother? It's good to see you in here. We got to get you on the show, bro. We got to get you on the show soon as these proceedings are getting hot and heavy. I think that's the next port of call. We need to get Post up in here. But thank you for being here, sir. No, continue, Everborn. Yes.
Right. So all of this is you just want Sony to stay on top. Yeah. That's what it's about. You don't care about competition. You've chosen a side, and all this is performative. Your concern is performative.
Yeah. And it is performative for a strategic purpose, right? But when it seems that when the side that you like is performing, it's fine. But when others are performing, it's not so good, and that's where the mask falling away seems to be very an apt description of it. So it seems, anyway. So
that's the thing. If this is essential input, then these smaller players would need access. And if the concern is that Microsoft or anyone can take this early lead and use that content to set themselves apart, then you want to give those other cloud players. The fact that there are no major cloud players
should show you how small the pie is. Yes.
Right. So and if the pie is that small, why is it material to this deal?
Yep.
Right? That tells me that it's either that these small deals matter, or the cloud SLC was never one that held any water to begin.
It's see, and to your point, Everborn, I never thought it really held much water to begin with.
Thank you for being here.
Oh yeah, shout out to you, sir. Oh, of course. Always great to have Aaron in here. Thank you so much. Like that part tells me that the only reason why cloud was important is because they know Microsoft has Azure. It wasn't a real concern, but they're looking at the monster that's in front of them and going, oh, well, these are their capabilities, so we'll use that against them. It wasn't really the actual cloud platform and the cloud market that exists. Like, it wouldn't matter. If Sony was coming at this, they wouldn't use Gaikai or the OnLive service that they bought as a factor in the equation because they're not known for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have a huge footprint of that. It feels like the whole cloud thing became haid to make because everybody knows that, oh, Microsoft Azure. It was a sidestep. It was a way of.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a legitimate thing to look into.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And if we're saying that, like, how could anyone else play in this world, right? Because it requires data centers, it requires all these things. Then okay, if that's a concern, I take that as face value.
Okay.
How do we address that? Find the smaller players, give them access.
Yeah.
And
that's what he's done. Yeah, that's what they've done.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's what the cloud SLC is about. It's not like Sony has a cloud. I mean, they had Gaikai. They're allegedly doing something with Microsoft, but they don't really have a cloud streaming thing, right? They don't have a game streaming, so people don't care about this because all they care about is one company. So all I'm saying to that, and then I want to advance the argument. This is my opening salvo.
Sure.
You don't care about competition if you're saying these deals don't matter.
Yeah.
And if you've never heard of these people, that shows you how small cloud is.
Yeah.
Now,
and remember, this is various regions, right? Some of them represent like the Eastern European region. Unless you live there, you don't know or care about any of that. The only reason why you know that Luna exists is because the U.S. tends to have a big mouth. But at the end of the day, if you don't live in the United States, you've never seen what Luna does from Amazon because they don't have it anywhere else. These are different providers for different regions, and they deserve as much respect as everybody else.
And furthermore, I've seen people. This is the new talking point now.
Okay.
Boosteroid already had access to Call of Duty.
Okay.
Right? So this deal doesn't matter. You know who else has access to Call of Duty right now? Sony. But somehow we're still talking about it. Contract, it would be material. So why is this not material?
Now, somehow we're talking about it as if they don't have access, when from jump they had access, and we've been hearing it ad nauseum that they'll continue to have access. But for them, we have to continue talking.
Right.
You know.
So that's that part of it. Now, the whole idea of the cloud SLC is, and again, answering. Sony has nothing to do with the cloud SLC.
No.
Right. So this is not about them working out a deal with Sony. This is about them answering the concerns that the regulators had vis-a-vis game streaming.
Yeah.
Right. So who are the players in that market? I want people in the chat. Tell me who the players in the cloud streaming market is.
Yeah.
It's not Google anymore.
Nope.
Right.
Not.
And if you're saying, well, what about Amazon?
Amazon's only in the States.
Right. So that doesn't answer the EU or the UK's.
Yeah, they don't care because it's not their people.
Right.
Yep.
Not material to those markets. So who's left? NVIDIA. They signed a deal with them.
Yep.
Who plays in Europe? Boosteroid, largest independent cloud streaming game streaming provider. Right? Because you don't know them. Backslap cloud. Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, I call it slow-mo cloud on the backslap infrastructure. You know what I'm saying?
So again, who else can they secure deals with?
You know who hasn't been spoken about that I expected to see more about? Parsec. Parsec became really big during the before Microsoft started opening up their xCloud for developers. But Parsec became a known commodity during the whole COVID problem, because that's how companies, they started leveraging their streaming technology to people to be able to do development over, while working from home. And they too have an infrastructure that you can subscribe to. It's not known, it's not really big, but Parsec is out there, a streaming service. I wouldn't be surprised if you hear Microsoft give Parsec a deal. You know, because they're much like the others. They're out there. They're on the fringes, and most people don't know about them, much like all these others as well.
The other difference is most of the cloud players are bring your own game.
Yes, and I think Parsec is as well. I think Parsec is as well.
I think anyone who's doing bring your own game, it's a no-brainer for Microsoft to decide to deal with them.
Yep.
But the point is this enough? And the number one third party that had a cloud concern was NVIDIA, and now they are on board.
Yeah.
And the reason we heard that the EU is prepping to potentially sign off on the deal is because and by the way, this is another thing that we should talk about.
Which we are going to talk about, which is that the EU has delayed their final decision.
Right.
Yes.
So, but if you look at the EU's competition page for this deal, it says that Microsoft has officially submitted remedies on yesterday, March 16th.
It's official,
right? Or 2 days ago, March 16th, they've submitted their remedies. And MLEX is reporting that those remedies no longer include console access. They're not moved by Sony's arguments in that region. And so, when you look at that 80-20 Pac-Man chart, it's starting to make sense now. When you look at the news that came out that they said, I don't want a deal, I want to block your deal, well, now we're not considering counsel.
That was just an unforced BS error on their part. How can you and let's be clear. We knew this from jump. But the fact that comes out of your mouth in a proceeding where the EU can hear you? What?
I appreciate his honesty.
But that's just ridiculous, man. Like, that's just ridiculous. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue.
So now, and post up in the chat says the delay is due to market testing that needs to be done.
Okay.
Another fun fact, the gamer lawsuit that was recently dismissed, not dismissed with prejudice, but dismissed in a federal court because they basically didn't make their case. They didn't have any numbers, which is interesting because, there's another complaint that's in court right now, not federal court, that also didn't use a lot of numbers. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. But before before the EU updated their timeline, Microsoft committed to the judge that they would, in the gamers case, before it was dismissed, that they would not close the deal before May 22nd. What is the day that the EU has delayed their decision to?
The 22nd, right?
Yes.
So it's all kind of diverging on the exact.
Not.
I think not.
Right? So now the EU seems like they're going to look at those, and Microsoft has answered the issues. Them signing with NVIDIA as for the cloud SLC is akin to them signing with Sony for the console.
For the console, yeah, absolutely, because they're the biggest dog in those regions.
If you say NVIDIA is not enough, here are some smaller players.
In the other regions that help. Yep, absolutely.
And the EU, from the reporting, is only concerned with the cloud SLC. So
there you go. That's it.
This is why people suspect that will answer that question. So if there's no console SLC, EU's in the bag, right? Now we come back to
let me get this quick super chat because it relates to what you're saying, and of course it is by the great Gerald Mack once again, the $5 super chat, saying it is absolutely an oxymoron to say you like video games and then say you hate Xbox. Please, hosts, make that make sense to me. It does not make sense, sir. It does not make sense. That is the simple fact of it. It's weird. That's like saying I listen to all music, but if you pick any genre, you bring it forth. Nah, I don't like that. That just makes sense. Doesn't make sense. It means you don't listen to all music. You don't like all games. You just like what you like, and that's fine. But then be honest about that instead of saying I'm a gamer, and then come out and dash the other very, very popular platform that's making games around here. But yes. Mr. EverbornSaga, what do you think of this whole alignment of the delay? Now, of course, you have the EU delay. Do you think that is the date that we should expect that the most fire will go off, or is the FTC going to continue to linger?
So here's the thing about that, and we should talk about the FTC also trying to compel Microsoft to release some documents.
Yeah.
But we'll come there. I think that with the new May 22nd date for the EU, they're going to kind of go back and forth, and hopefully that will be done. And we will get answers from the CMA because they're negotiating a package right now, right? They've already answered the CMA's remedies document, and they've answered the CMA has also published Microsoft's response to the provisional findings, and Microsoft points out some mathematical errors
on their accounting,
they believe in the CMA's reporting. So the whole reason there is a council SLC to begin with, this is what it all hinges on, right? The CMA says Microsoft would have a financial incentive to bring the game exclusive. So because there's a financial incentive, even though they're saying they won't do anything, they won't take it away, there is an incentive to them to do so, so we want to stop that.
Yeah.
Now, that in and of itself just says we believe you're lying.
Yeah,
we don't
basically,
care about
that's what that
say.
says.
That is the DCEU Bruce Wayne. If there's even a 1% chance, we have to take it
as an absolute certainty, and go after them like from jump.
Right. So their math. This is according to Microsoft, right? And I'm sure the CMA had a reason for coming to it.
Sure.
But Microsoft makes a very strong allegation, right? They say that the CMA's the entire Council SLC is based on the math that they did. I think it's LTV or something, right? Is Post Up says the math is not mathing. So the what the CMA has done in their preliminary findings was they've compared 5 years worth of gain. 5 years worth of gain to 1 year's worth of loss.
Okay.
So they have basically extrapolated to say over 5 years you could make this amount of money, and this is how much you lose by making this decision. And the money you would make is more than the money you would lose.
But of course, they're not doing it from the same term, so obviously it'll always be lopsided. Yeah, of course.
Right.
Of course.
And they're not taking into account the fact that people have massive libraries on PlayStation, and that is a factor.
You won't just get up and leave because
right? People have friends that are on PlayStation.
Yeah, and we're all in the x86 world, meaning moving forward, the next platforms will probably still keep and retain most of your library. Right. How could you easily leave? Yes.
And because of that, this is why they had to take the 5-year outlook on games. Right, but they only compared it to the 1 year
loss. Yeah, which is weird. Yeah,
and so the rate of attrition is much slower when I say the rate of attrition, I mean the people that or churn.
The people that are leaving.
Churn is what's used for subscription service, but you know what I'm saying, right? People would leave a lot slower. Yes, some people will go, but we shouldn't be in the business of just protecting a 1 or 2% change.
Yep.
In who may or may not go for PlayStation, right?
Yep.
So and then you have to say there's the whole different polling that Microsoft used versus the CMA used, and the CMA polled hardcore COD users.
Yep, absolutely.
Whereas you technically should be polling
the general audience,
right? Everyone on PlayStation, a general audience, because hardcore, you may lose more hardcore COD players, but how that you can't extrapolate that out.
But even those hardcore, even when that hardcore audience was polled, by and large, most were like, we don't care. Most wouldn't have left. Even that showed that most of those hardcore audience would not leave to go on PlayStation, leave to go on Xbox because COD is there. They like I think it was like a 1% of those that were polled said they would leave. Like, and,
well, no, because the CMA came back with different numbers, and they said it would be like 30 or 40%, but that was based on hardcore
on the hardcore
players,
on PS5,
something like that.
Okay,
but not the broad PlayStation
general audiences. Those were not part of the
right. And so Microsoft is saying that the polling that they use
is more general
audience of PlayStation players versus hardcore COD players.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's another thing with all of this. So in terms of the May 22nd date, I think we may see the CMA push back their date again. Right? To more closely align with the EU date. I don't think April 26th is when the CMA will decide on this thing. Why? Because Microsoft is going to submit these remedies, and just like the EU, the CMA is probably going to have to market test these things and do some going back and forth. And Australia seems to be lockstep with the UK, so they're not going to decide until the CMA decides, and so the same thing for New Zealand, right? But the China decision comes in May. The EU decision will come by the 22nd, and I think that's the date Microsoft is looking for. But by that date, all those things will be decided. Microsoft will know what their remedies package is. They will offer that to the FTC, and I am of the mind that the FTC will play ball. And so I think that May 22nd week might be the week to look out for. Which means I don't have to buy Diablo. I will buy Diablo day one. But if this deal closes and we get it in Game Pass day one, this is why I'm not pre-ordering.
So let's before we close up, because I don't want this to become a 4-hour show. Before we close this out, let's talk quickly about that world. 22nd comes and goes. Right, we already have approvals from both camps. Right, FTC, in your estimation, has to then bow out. Right, it closes.
They don't have to, I think.
Well, in your estimation, they'll because the context matters. You've heard a lot of back and forth, even within the FTC's ranks. It's a big problem now. People are talking about no contest, a vote of the FTC chairwoman is not having a good time of it. So the idea that they'll continue giving her funds to back it and continue moving forward is unlikely. We hear that. Unless, of course, the CMA and or EU come back with more teeth, that changes the equation. But if by that time both of them are in pocket, FTC loses its teeth on that front. So that means early June, Microsoft goes into their FanFest like E3 like conference with both of these things like done. What do we foresee they will do? Because it's been speculated that a lot of their wishy-washiness has always been all hands on deck on this deal. So imagine they're going into E3 starting proper. They no longer have this monkey on their back. What do you foresee?
Well, so I think it's going to be wild because we're actually seeing it right now. They are, unlike 2022, they're walking and chewing gum at the same time right now.
So far, right? Yes, they're absolutely doing so. Yes.
So we talk about High on Life in December, right? By the way,
which
you hear that
DLC? Yes, sir. That's actually why I was playing the footage in the morning. Thanks for reminding me.
At the end of that game, that DLC is going to be a big deal. So anyway, High on Life in December, Hi-Fi Rush in January, and then Game Pass got Monster Hunter Rise in January, and then in February we got Atomic Heart, and what was the other thing we got in February?
Did we get Wolong is March. Wolong just came, right?
Atomic Heart in February, which was a big game. Then March you got Wolong, and you're about to get I don't know if it's this month or next month, but MLB The Show.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Redfall's coming.
Right, but April, right, is MLB The Show, or the end of March, and then you have Tokyo Ghostwire, and
Tokyo,
then Minecraft Legends.
Minecraft Legends.
And then they announced that Exo Primal's coming to Game Pass. And then in May, you got Redfall and Lies of P. I can't remember if that's May or June.
No,
or
that's later. That's second quarter, I think.
Okay,
it's later
sure.
down the year. Yeah.
But so May is Redfall, and then if the deal is closed, that means June is Diablo, which they'll probably announce that.
Yeah, and then they'll go, Rod, what was true yesterday ain't true today, sir.
Right. So E3 will, if the deal's closed, right, we'll find out Diablo's hitting Game Pass, along with the back catalog of Activision games.
Yep. Oh yeah, which is a whole lot. Yes.
And then over the summer, right, we get Flintlock, we get Lies of P, and at E3 we see things like Hellblade.
Sin is saying Valheim just dropped as well, and we're also forgetting the Benedict Fox. There's just so much happening. Yes, absolutely.
Right. This is the best year for Xbox in terms of like first party releases and
the second party deals and
This is exactly, they have plans A, B, and C for whenever something doesn't work out. This is what we asked of them last year.
True.
If your games got delayed, make sure you have
you have something to back up
and
with.
they're doing that now.
Yep.
So if you just add what they have on the table now, you add ABK to that.
And we didn't even talk about Starfield coming.
Well, I'm getting to there because we're still in the summer now.
We're still in the summer. True. September is yes, absolutely.
So then you hit Starfield in September, right? And if you find out Hellblade's coming out at the end of the year, and then they show you Avowed, maybe we see Fable. I don't know. Yeah. Imagine that.
The onslaught of game content. Oof.
I'm gonna quote my Dominican brother-in-law and say that's a problem. Right?
Stop it. Terrible accent. What's wrong with you?
It is.
Forgive my Dominican brothers in here. This man's ridiculous right now.
It's crazy right now. And it will be even worse if you add, like, even if the ABK deal doesn't go through, this year's already insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? It's insane to the point where we have to ask, how can they keep this up?
Yeah. Well, this is my point. But we'll get there. We'll get there real quick. I will say, and then we have a $10 super chat from the man Post Up saying, "Talk that talk. Keep up the great work. Love you guys. Insights and what's really going on." Thank you, sir. As we said, we're definitely going to have you on here. We're going to communicate in the DMs and pick a great time to have you communicate with us as well, because we love your takes on the industry as well. It's a lot of stuff. Like to your point, right? They're doing so much right now, and I appreciate that. I do. I want to see that again in 2024. I want to see.
Well, let's get to 2024.
Sure. I'm not putting the boot on their neck. I'm just saying, for me, consistency has always been, and as early as on Boom Show, you asked me some months ago. That's what I said then as well. It's not one game. It's not one IP. I want a consistent flywheel that they've been talking about, and it looks like it's starting to turn. It looks like it's starting to turn now. I want to see it in 2024. I want to see it in 2025. So that when the time comes, at some point, the whole idea of a draft for them is like, a big drought for them is like a story from a bygone era, right? That's what I want to see.
Right now I forgot Forza.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is a deluge.
True. An onslaught, if you will, of content coming at you. Yes,
and that's the beauty of all this. Yeah. With or without, I do think the deal is going to go through.
I do as well.
But even if it doesn't, like, they're doing just everything we asked for, and I know, like, Starfield and Motorsport. But the problem with the delays in 2022 of Starfield and Redfall is they had nothing else to back it up.
True, there was no plan B.
Like, now, there's a ton of things to back it up, whether it's first party or big name stuff in Game Pass. So to me, they are Stalker 2, right? Yep. So to me, this is the Xbox that I've wanted for all of 2022 and did not get. Yep. And I'm giving the roses, and if they keep this up, even without that deal, they're going to be a problem.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. Now, what do we think could potentially come in and ruin this situation? I'm not saying we're going there, but we do recognize they tend to be the clutching defeat from the jaws of victory, folks. Like,
I'm not doing it. They're straight for this year. It's not about ruining anything. They couldn't mess this year up if they tried.
Okay.
There's so many things this year stacked because half the stuff from this year was supposed to be out last year. I get it. Right?
No, of course. Yeah, but that happens in gaming in general. Even everybody
have the conversation about next year.
Okay.
Right now.
So do you foresee a world where we're sitting here next year going, son of a bitch, maybe you should have delayed some of the stuff so you have content for next year? Or you don't think that's the case either?
You trying to gaslight us?
I'm not gaslighting anything. I'm not peddling FUD. I'm not peddling FUD.
No,
I'm not sowing the seeds of discontent.
Say, don't think about what's happening now. They might mess up in the future.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean just like we saw in the past, because even in their past history, we have seen them like deluge of content to the point where I even communicated with Aaron Greenberg, like, yo, this is how we want to see you, and they're like, oh, thank you guys so much. They were throwing it at us, and then whoosh, for a long time to the point where I was like, why did y'all drop one after another when you knew that you'd be such a huge drought after that? I'm just worried that may happen again. That's all I'm saying. And I'm asking, are they so confident that there's so much coming in the future that they don't need to do that? Or will I be sitting here going, son of a, why did you not just keep motorsport for 2024? That's all I'm asking. I'm not spending FUD. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying that at all.
No.
I've been accused of the keep Xbox accountable guy, and that's supposedly a pejorative. Like, that's like me being bad, you know.
What I will say is, I'm with Slow-Mo. You can't delay any of these things out to next year, right?
Okay.
So, if something moves a couple of weeks or a couple of months, Starfield, I genuinely don't care. I don't care about that. Yeah, make that game as clean as possible. Delay it if you need to. Right? Yes. That being said, it as long as it's coming out this year, I think it's fine. Okay. Now, in terms of should they hold anything back, absolutely not. Why? Because there's still so many other things.
Other studios. There's still. True.
What's Compulsion doing?
No, but see, that tells me they are confident that those studios will then be the heavy hitters of this year, right? Of that year, right? What happens if, and this is all a big if, right? What happens if that studio needs more time? Like, I guess my one, well, okay, I guess I'm answering my own question at that point. Just like they are supplementing your Lies of P and all of that, they can then be strategic and slip in some second party deals in case more delays are necessary for the next year and all of that. So as long as they're thinking in that realm, I think we'll be fine. I just don't want to be in that place where, again, the biggest first party you can talk about is Pentiment. Like, I don't think that's cool. Like, I don't.
I think that they are making up for that now, and to suggest that will be the case next year.
I'm not suggesting that'll be the case next year. I am saying that has historically been the case, and it always stays in the back of my mind that they have done that historically. And as such, I don't want that to be the case next year. That's all I'm saying.
I just think that's it. That's what you call inception, because now people are going to think about that. It's like, oh, now don't worry about
what we have futuristic powers to make it a foregone conclusion. We are like because we say so, it'll happen. Come on. People don't have that much power, man.
So I just think there's enough that they've already announced that hasn't come out yet. There's enough things that we know about that haven't been announced yet, right? Right? Like, that's why we talked about Compulsion and
I'm waiting to see what Compulsion has to show, because it has been hyped up to the fullest extent. So we need to see what Compulsion has to show. I'm excited to see what they have to show.
Listen, what about Psychonauts guys? What's Tim?
Yeah. Like the Double Fine. They have been quietly churning at something new.
working on something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because what do you call it? Psychonauts 2 was already in the works when they were
Yeah.
acquired.
They basically
had
helped them finish it up. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So that's
And
the
Enzo
thing.
was saying Hellblade 2 will come out at the beginning of next year. What if it comes out this summer, this Christmas?
I mean, either way, I mean, that would be great if it came out this year, but I think there's enough to where there's enough coming and there's enough kind of laid out that Hellblade is the one where if first of all, it wouldn't be a delay if it came out in 2024. Right?
No.
It's not the same as
Because
the
they haven't
Starfield
really put out a specific date range or anything like that. Yeah.
Starfield was delayed twice. Redfall seems like it's going to hit the date, and Motorsport was delayed, right? But Hellblade, if it comes out this year, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come out this year,
that's fine as long as it releases somewhat early, mid-year next year. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So there's that. But then you got to talk about Avowed. There's so many things that I don't even think that and as Game Pass grows, as we're seeing it, they're able to secure up more high-profile deals.
See, and I'm not the only one that has these concerns, man. James in the chat saying, "Look, waiting on Xbox has become annoying for real, but at least now we know stuff is coming." The waiting game has earned them a little side eye. Even you, sir, told me in the DMs that you don't believe any dates they put forth anymore.
I still don't.
You see what I'm saying? They have earned a little bit of that side eye. That's all I'm saying. And while I'm bringing up chat stuff, let me quickly read this $5 super chat. Thank you so much. The real Big Rich is in here saying, "Big fan. Just wanted to say, keep up what y'all doing. Thank you so much. We appreciate you continuing to support us."
This is all I'm saying to Xbox as well.
Yep.
So that's my answer to what James said, which is we're not waiting right now.
True.
There's games being delivered right now.
True.
Big games.
Yeah.
Right? Games that are better than the competition at the moment. Right? So if that is
Now is that Cucumber? Yeah, that is Cucumber. Well done, sir. Cucumber. That's right. He says Everborn is the voice of reason. Well, here we are. We're here for it.
So, you know, that's the thing. So Lucius Augustus says Hi-Fi Rush came out 50 days ago, though. What does that mean?
Meaning it's getting at this point we're getting to a place where there's a drought, possibly. I don't know. I think that's a stretch.
Wait a minute.
I think that's a stretch.
Wait a goddamn minute.
Oh no, we're gonna delay this show for longer. Here we go. Here you go.
Hi-Fi Rush came out 50 days ago. Oh, okay. All right, good.
What you mean?
We're making the same point. I apologize. let me go put the gun away.
As in, no, we are not waiting. Put the pitchfork back off screen, sir.
Okay. Yes. I apologize. You know what? We're done for today.
We are done. Because he was about to just be like, "What?"
I'm sorry, Lucius Augustus.
Nah, he's in here, man. Salute to you, Lucius. Appreciate you being here. But no, I hear you. And this is me, like, I have gotten used to defeat from the jaws of victory. I hope this is all a thing of the past, and that as such, then I can rest assured in knowing that we have competition now, right? We have this side churning butter on what they're good at. We have Xbox also churning butter on what they're good at, and then we in the middle just eating wherever we can, which is good.
Listen, that's the point of competition, and
yes.
That is why I support the Call of Duty deal.
Yeah.
Look right now, today, what the popularity of Game Pass has caused PlayStation to do, right?
It's caused them to open their own subscription service. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Right? So I'm totally okay. I want to see Sony move under pressure. Right?
Sure, yeah, because they're at their best when they move under pressure. That's literally what's going on here. You know, I know some people are like, "Oh, get rid of them in the gaming space. They don't like them." Sony's at their best when they are pressured, when they are like thinking creatively.
Quietly
into the night. No, they are the market leaders for a reason. They didn't do it through hook or crook. They're keeping their position through hook or crook, and some of us have a problem with that. But they got here by genius and by great introspective games, both indie space and AAA. And we just want to see more of that fire. Rather than, sitting there high on the hog going, I'm the market leader now, so I'm going to remove the steps for anybody to even climb. You know what I'm saying? We want them steps to stay, but they need to be on top because they deserve it, right? And I think this competition will breed more of that. That's why I am very big on where we are now with it. So, hopefully this means, we start seeing kindlings of SOCOM or things of that nature becoming a thing because they need their own big AAA multiplayer banger. And, the PlayStation of today could do SOCOM really justice. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing either SOCOM or a game of its ilk really try and dispel that notion that, PlayStation only does single player games. I want them to go hard on that multiplayer side and show why they are also very, very good in that space as well. And now, of course, they have Bungie, why not?
I want to shout out, and I don't know if he's listening.
Okay.
But I want to shout out Sycamore.
Yeah. I know you guys chatted, yes.
And I just saw he made like this interesting point. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. This is not anything private, but he says,
okay.
If you have right now, right, Sony gets to sort of dictate a lot of terms, and they basically can get the same deals on not only exclusive contents but just licensing deals that they work out with
benefits of being the market leader. Yeah.
Right, there are benefits there. You get to
absolutely
your position in the market.
Absolutely,
right?
You get to move the market to your will based on your hardware because you're the market leader.
But developers sort of have to answer to kind of what, like a lot of times Sony will set these terms, right? Yep. Especially if you're a smaller developer. Now they can do that because it's going to be like, what are you going to do? Not work with us?
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you have a more level playing field, then the person negotiating with Sony can say, maybe I can.
That's right.
Not work with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or we're gonna now charge a similar amount, so you're gonna have to give me more money if you want this game to be exclusive, or if you want that feature, or if we're gonna work together. And that the competition being closer between Sony and Microsoft is a better situation for developers.
True. Yes, absolutely.
And it is only if you believe that owning Call of Duty will cut Sony's market share in half or some ridiculous number like that,
and that's obviously not the case.
Then that's a different story. But if you yes, Sony will lose some market share, and yes, Microsoft will benefit from it, because that's the whole point. And I feel like a lot of the time we're talking about this, it's like you're buying this thing, but you can't benefit in any way at all.
But we don't think that will dethrone them as the market leader, not by a long shot, at least not in the short term.
So the whole point is, we do feel like it will get them a little bit closer, and maybe Microsoft will end up on top a little bit, maybe Sony, or maybe it'll be neck and neck with Sony, or maybe Sony stays on top. But the point is, the closer they are, the better it is for us. Yes, gives
and
other developers, third party. We saw this in the responses to the CMA.
Yes, I'll give you even one other side of the coin that we were talking about there that's related to here. If and when we see that happen, where they're closer together, you'll start seeing hardware uplift also become better, because then it'll be in Sony's best interest to make sure that their hardware platform mimics the market leader, which then happens to be Microsoft. So then you will see more of those features used, because developers don't have to go too far to the left to here for you, and then too far to the right to it. When they are closer, it's true. When they are closer together, why do you think PC and Xbox get a lot of the same lift? Because Microsoft made a point to make sure the development platform is almost turnkey between PC and the console platform. If the market leader, which not right now is Sony, is so far removed from that, they can't spend the extra time to go do that. But if they're closer, then you can spend a lot more time, because you're building it for all of them at the same time, right? That matters. Sometimes the difference of a week or 2 or 3 weeks in development matters in the dollars and cents if you're talking a AA studio or AAA studio that doesn't have the time or the budget or the money to go there. But if their hardware spec is closer together, they can spend more time getting more out of it because you don't have to break your teams off and go, okay, you go do what PlayStation does best. You go do what Xbox does best. When they're closer together, breeds more competition.
If I'm Sony, I'm using that as an argument that Microsoft will be in control of our hardware and tools.
But that's what Sony is in control of right now. That's what they're doing right now. It just goes unsaid.
But they're not, because Microsoft is doing.
I'm talking in the console space.
Different.
In the console space, Microsoft is.
Or you're talking like Sony. This will force Sony to adopt DirectX.
No, so it won't force Sony to adopt DirectX, but it'll force them to use a more mainstream platform.
Microsoft-centric platform.
I don't think so. If we come into a world where Microsoft is upside down and they're the market leader, that becomes something else. That becomes something else. That's a future world that's so far removed that we can't. No, but
that's the world that would have to take place for Sony to say we have to now.
If they go DirectX, that's a whole upside down world. I don't see that happening. I don't. Yes, but anyway, let us. That's a digression for another day.
Last thing that we talk about with this whole thing is the FTC wants some documents from Microsoft.
Yes.
Microsoft is saying we already gave you half those documents. What are you talking about? The FTC is saying no, we don't have those documents.
Find that.
We want you to do a simple search for those documents, and Microsoft is not being cooperative according to the FTC. We haven't seen their response to this, which I'm sure we will see in the coming days. The judge has not decided on it, but this is sort of standard press stuff. Right?
Doesn't this stem from the whole, you said you'd make Activision, you'd say you'd make Bethesda games not exclusive, and then you did blah blah blah, which is really not true. Like, isn't that what stemmed the FTC from wanting additional documents here?
No, nothing to do with that.
Okay,
that's
explain.
Sony's response to the provisional findings, where Sony said that.
But the FTC did make mention of what they said to the EU CMA.
They did, but what they want right now, the main, and there's several things they're asking them for. Like they asked for 34. There were 34 document requests. Microsoft gave them 7.
Okay.
And now there's 27 left.
Okay.
But basically, they're saying that Microsoft, you are signing these deals with Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? Okay. You just signed on Backslap Cloud Gaming, right?
Slow-mo cloud, son. Slow-mo
cloud. We want to see the particulars of said contracts that you're going to use, because you're going to use that to argue your case. You're going to use the deals with Nintendo and Nvidia and Boosteroid to say, look, this is what we've done. This is why there's no competition concern. So we want to see how those conversations.
I want to see the details of it. Okay.
So let's see if this is smoke and mirrors, which is a fine ask. And what Microsoft is saying, we gave you 2.1 million documents. What you asked for is right there.
2.1 million documents.
This is a standard thing that happens. There's a document request. We're gonna throw a whole bunch of stuff at you. What you asked for is in there, but it's
figure it out.
Yeah. Right. So the FTC is saying we can't look through 2.1 million documents. Give us exactly this. Do a search on the stuff you gave us. And Microsoft is saying let the judge decide. Right. And the whole reason they're in front of a judge in the first place is because the FTC said let the judge decide, instead of working all this out.
So now they're kind of pushing back in the same way, but with ridiculousness and standing on principle of basically, here are your docs. They're not exactly what you asked for, but what you're looking for is somewhere in the middle. Go figure it out, kind of thing.
Yeah. So Microsoft, according to Microsoft anyway, So
they have provided them.
something-
They're just among the 2 million documents. Okay.
Yes. But this is standard stuff. I even asked Hogue Law about it. This is standard stuff that you do, and it's the same thing. Sony did not want to give all the stuff Microsoft.
Yeah, of course. They were talking about, well, some of it is in Japanese. We can't translate it, which is just hilarious.
Right. So you go to the judge and let the judge decide, and that's what you will have to give, because nobody wants to give more. You don't want to give somebody the rope to hang you with.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true. Okay.
So that's what that thing was about. And,
Okay.
And I do think it's egg on the face of everybody who says Sony has something to hide, and now they're saying, they don't want to say the same thing. When the fact is, this is standard practice. You ask for way more documents that you need. Another party doesn't want to give all those documents, so they fight every place they can, and then let the judge decide what actually has to be given, and then that's what you give.
So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, within 10 minutes, we will have been podcasting for 4 hours.
That's why it's time to go.
It is time to go, ladies and gentlemen. We are so happy for so much of you being here, continuing to follow us, to continue to rock with us. We still have, over 100 folks in the chat. We have 146 likes. So that means you actually followed through. You heard us. You appreciate what we were doing. We thank you so much for being here. Mr. EverbornSaga, I know you had a great time. I had a great time. Thanks to Daniel McGee for being here. We will definitely have him back on the show. But Everborn, what else are you doing this week? What can people keep an eye out from you?
So this week, I don't think I'm going to be doing much gaming until Friday, unless I get into Streets of Rage 4 and Hollow Knight, but I'm just waiting for Resident Evil.
Play that Hollow Knight, bro. I want to talk to you in depth about that, because that game is also another masterpiece.
Well, hold on. Before we get into that, I have gone down the rabbit hole of using ChatGPT for coding. I know a lot of people use it for some other things, but I wanted to do a segment. Maybe next week we can do.
Yeah, we'll set it up properly. Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you the prompt, and go to ChatGPT right now, and just use this prompt, right? Just to see what it would do. I already have this worked out, but I wanted to see if it could do better than what I have. In the chat, look what I posted. I'm working on a 2D beat 'em up game in Unity, and I need a script that will handle knocking enemies into a wall. The script should consider the edge of the screen as a wall, right? ChatGPT writes out a full enemy knockback script that I can copy right into the game and add it to a game object in Unity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Gives you the full script. So the reason I'm talking about this, and this is where we'll leave it at, is if you guys I'm a software engineer by day, right? I lead a team at work, whatever. But you don't have to be a coder, right?
To get your ideas out. Yeah.
If you don't want to bother yourself with scripting and C# coding or whatever, you can go into Unity, create a game object, describe what you want that object to do piece by piece, and just add it as a component to game objects and let it do what it does. Right?
and Slow-Mo Backslap in here saying, ChatGPT has written 97% of the code for Backslap Cloud.
So
there you go.
It's literally that simple, right? ChatGPT generates the script. I go into Unity. I have a game object. I click Add Component, and I say New Script, and then I copy what ChatGPT gave me into the new script.
And then you can use it, maybe modify it if you need to a little bit.
And you just break it down for each functionality you want for each object in your game. If it's a collectible or whatever, you can now make your game. And I want to see the Slow-Mo Backslap game. I want to see everybody in the chat making their own games, making these indie games, because if coding was your issue,
it's no longer an issue. Absolutely.
Right now.
Yeah.
This really helps you out. Now, I don't know how well this is going to work. I'm going to try it later. I've just been playing around having it generate scripts.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to bring some of this into the game and see, and that might even cut down development.
It might speed up time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
but okay.
4.0 even crazier. So I want you guys to try this. I want you to download Unity or Unreal.
Unreal,
I want you to go into ChatGPT, and I want you to describe the scripts that you want to add to these game objects, and just see what it does.
I will.
You can make a game.
I will put a disclaimer out, and because someone has put a disclaimer out to me, so I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. Every
fear mongering, don't worry about
No, I'm not fear mongering. Read the EULA. Every piece of code you put in, and every piece of information they put out, they now have a claim to it. So if you have any proprietary stuff, anything that's important to you that you don't want to be in the public square, that you don't want them to just have access to, be cautious of that before you put it in there, because they have it written in there. But that's a highbrow thing.
A little bit.
That's right.
And
yes,
I don't want to hear anybody, especially if you're in software right now. I don't want to hear anybody who goes to Stack Overflow.
You don't need that. You can get direct answers. Absolutely. Yeah.
If you're doing that to solve your work issues, you can use ChatGPT.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I'm saying is try it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get out of here, but I will say thank you guys so much for being here. So much super chats, so many people here still communicating, still conversing with us. We really appreciate it. We should once again say at the end of the day, this show is going to start getting bigger and better with the super chats and all of the donations you guys have presented to us. We're working in the background to start opening things up a bit more. You want the Everborn's Conspiracy Corner. There'll be a segment for that. There'll be beautiful overlays for that. We're working in the background for that. You want channel membership. I know some people have asked me for channel membership. Crazy emojis are coming. We're doing all of that. We're working on all of that. And while we don't insist you super chat, anybody that does, we appreciate all of that, because that goes into the pot for making this channel better. So thank you guys so much. Yes. And we have 148 likes in here. So we really did have a community that responded to us asking them to do so. So once again, salute to all of you for doing that. We try to do this every week, and as you saw last week, every once in a while, maybe I'll slip in an extra episode, a recorded episode into the feed about something specific or whatever. We'll try to do more of that as time permits. But thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. For myself, Mr. Mr. EverbornSaga, I should say.
Look at this man replacing me already.
I'm replacing you already.
Backslap Cloud. Don't know how
Backslap Cloud. And Mr. Daniel McGee, who was in here. Really, really appreciate everybody's support. And we will, of course, see you all next week. Catch me in your YouTube, in your chats. Catch me online. I'll be gaming this weekend. So until then, we'll see y'all next week. We hope you keep it gaming and have a good weekend. Peace.